studio, and I am joined with my guy Yave.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're gonna have a very interesting conversation today. We're gonna talk about a lot of deep stuff, but what really sparked this conversation for the second time, because I've always wanted to sit down and talk to you in this space, but what really sparked it was when I seen the father episode that you did. That episode was interesting. What's been the feedback so far from that episode?
It's been all good. I've been getting yours was the most inspiring because it was a fellow man telling me that what I said inspired you to tell your story. I haven't gotten any other messages like that. It's been a lot of good feedback from both men and women. Like nobody can really say anything bad about it. So everybody's basically showing respect for me being so vulnerable about something that personal. So that's the
majority of it.
Yep.
Your parents seen it?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know if they've seen it. They haven't said nothing about it.
So it was actually two things that sparked when I seen that. So when me and my ex were together, this was 2017 to 2021. In the middle of that relationship, all of a sudden, she wanted a dog. And I love dogs. I've always had dogs my whole life. But she's never had a dog before. So it's during COVID, it's 2020. She's looking at Yorkies and all types of Shih Tzus and all types of dogs. And she don't understand, one, these are ankle biters. And two, you want it as a baby, so you want an untrained ankle biter. They're going to be peeing and dookie all over the house, and they're going to be biting you, and you don't even know how to train a dog. So I'm like, listen, first, I don't think you should get one. And then secondly, if you do get one, just let me pick it out. So she's looking at that like, what are you talking about? Of course, I'm not going to let you pick it out. So I'm like, all right, well, one day I ended up at the Humane Center. I don't know why God told me to go there. And I went there, and every dog that she wanted was right there in the front. Sold in a row. So I go to the back, nothing but big dogs. I'm like, no, all these dogs are bigger than her. She's 5'1". And I go to the back, and there's a terrier Chihuahua mix. He's about 6 years old, but he's like a medium-sized dog. I put my hand up to the cage. He put his hand up to the cage. I said, this is the one right here. I take it outside to walk it. He's walking with his tail in between his legs. He's extremely nervous. He doesn't know me. He's been at the pound for like 2 days. He's definitely a house dog. So I'm like, this is the one right here. I call her. She comes up there. She's like, no, this really don't seem like the one. I mean, if you want to get this one, then you can. And I'm like, listen, I'm telling you right now, this is the one. So $25, all the shots, nurse, veterinarian routine, all of that stuff for just that price. And they keep it for the weekend and neuter it. We come back after the weekend. The dog comes outside. I said, open the door. She opens the door. The dog jumps in the door. So how do you know he's going to do that? Because I know dogs. So close the door. He's going to jump up to the window. Let the wind hit his face. He's not going to jump out or fly out. Just don't be driving crazy so you don't bump. And then he fly out the window. And when she got home, she said, wow, he did everything you said he was going to do. I said, yes. Open the door. He's going to jump out the car. So what became our routine was the dog would sleep on the side of the bed, on his bed, and in the middle of the night, or right before he go to sleep, he'll come over to my side of the bed, because I think that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but children kind of know which parent is the fun parent and which parent is not. And he would, even though it would be right by her, she would come all the way over to mine, and he would scratch on the bed, and she would either be like, no, or she would be like, yes. And if she said yes, I would take the legs, pull them onto their bed, and he would just go to the edge of the bed and go to sleep. He just wanted to sleep up there with us. And that was our routine. When we woke up in the morning, the dog would come and pound on my chest like this with his little arms to let me know I got to go to the bathroom. So as soon as I got up, he would go up. I would open the door, shoot down the stairs, use the restroom, shoot back up the stairs, and then go to his bowl to say, I'm hungry. Feed him, and then we'd have a regular day. We turned into a family like this. It went from, I don't know, to this is the love of my life. I love this dog so much. Her, not me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her. I already loved it when I first seen it because I already had dogs. But with her, she had to kick in what loving a dog looks like and what a dog loving you looks like. So it took no time. When me and her were in a rough patch, I ended up moving back in with my parents, and she kept the dog at her house. Then I would have to schedule time to see the dog that I brought into the picture.
Okay.
And then after a while, the more estranged that we got, was the more, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. No, you can't see it here. No, you can't take it there. No, you can't do this. And then I started to be like, wait a minute. Because my mom had 5 kids by 5 different dads. Did any of them go through this, what I'm going through right now with this dog? And I started to ponder, and I remember my ex brought the dog over to the Douglasville house. She stayed in Marietta. My mom seen me come in with the dog. It was the weekend, and she said, "Are you a weekend dad now?" And then I said, "I guess so." And she said, "Make it count." And I said, "We always do."
Wait, who said that?
My mom.
Your mom, okay.
My mom said this. And I had so much fun with the dog, and when it was time to give it back to his mom, there was no love in that exchange.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, okay, I'm here to get the dog back.
Yep.
And
this is when y'all was on a break.
No, this meeting was done.
Oh,
we were like right at the breakup.
So this would be done. Like the co-parenting stage, but with a dog.
With a dog. And I seen how it can now. This is transferring into her about to get into another relationship because she started doing OnlyFans.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time that I'm meeting Stacy and Kemp, she's performing on camera with other people. So then now I have to sever ties completely to where we can't even really co-parent, but publicly, but under the table, we can still share the dog. Mm-hmm. So I would send stuff through the mail, toys and food, because I knew that my financial state was good, but hers was never where mine was. And as the primary mother to the dog, I wanted to make sure she was fine. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. See, I'm the type of dude, no matter what happens with me and my baby mom, or my dog or whatever, I'm gonna always make sure that I hold her in a certain standard, because I want my child, my dog, to be at that standard too. So when she got into the new relationship, I remember I sent her some stuff through the mail, and she texted me and said thank you. And this is like days later after I did it. And then I remember a month later, I sent some more stuff, and she texted me and said, "You might want to consider becoming the dad to another dog."
Yeah.
And that was officially when I saw the transformation of biological father to responsibility of stepfather.
Yep.
So she pretty much pushed my dog onto another guy and made him the primary father of the dog. And that's when I got to see for the first time in my life what it looks like for a mom to procreate with somebody. Mm-hmm. You guys create a product. You guys love that product. Mm-hmm. You guys split. She has all full control of that product. And then she maneuvers that product like a puzzle piece and manipulates you with that product.
Yep.
That was the first time I ever got to see it.
Mm-hmm. So you saw it with a dog. Imagine what it is with a human that she actually carried in birth.
Man. Man. Did that sound like what
yeah, that's crazy that you describing it with a dog. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing.
Same thing.
Same energy.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't take into account the man's connection or the father's connection to the baby. Because we put a lot of love and energy into the baby too. So figuring out how's that gonna flow when y'all are no longer together, because both of y'all are feeling this responsibility to take care and to love, mm-hmm. to still give your best energy to it. And they end up in the position of power, mm-hmm. because they have it all the time.
All the time. Yeah. And then it puts you in a weird situation, because if you stand up for yourself, mm-hmm. then you don't want to seem like an emotional bully, mm-hmm. to where you're like, listen, this is what I'm about to do. And if you don't like it, then oh well. Because the narrative of that is always going to get spun to say, oh, he's trying to force his way to do this and do that. Mm-hmm. And so now you can't get on any type of a cohesive page. So then you go, okay, I'm gonna protect my peace by not being a part of the non-cohesiveness. But then that narrative gets spun as in, okay, I guess you don't care about the dog no
you
more.
just a deadbeat,
You just
or
a
you don't
deadbeat.
care. You
Yeah.
abandon your child or your family. Right.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah, it's a weird situation.
It is.
It's very weird. I remember the first time I talked to my father when I was 20, my biological dad. A lot of people don't know this stuff about me. But my first time talking to my biological dad when I was 20, he was a gangster. And he was a gangster even in his later years. And he when I called him, he was at the hospital because he was wheelchair bound. He was on his deathbed, but he still had all his faculties though. So he was like, all right, y'all, this is Lil Marcus. Everybody get out. You get out. You get out. And he's just kicking everybody out of his room. And I'm like, damn, this dude really is everything that people say that he is. And so as soon as everybody was out there, he was like, all right, Lil Marcus, I'm going to start you from the top. He went all the way from the day we met my mom to where we were in that moment. And we talked for like 5 hours. And he gave me the whole story. And the crazy part is, the guy that my mom had a child with after him, he thought that I was that guy's child. And when I went to my mom and told her this story, she said, it's whatever he told you. That's it. She said, it's whatever he told you. And I don't think that she understands how being a junior and only remembering that I'm a junior every time that somebody asks me, do you have a prefix or a suffix in your name? But having no other connection to the name itself. And Lamarcus is a dope ass name and still is a dope ass last name. I'm not keeping it. I'm changing it to my African name when I go to Africa. But I've never had a connection to the name myself. I never had a connection to the person.
Exactly. Yep.
And my entire life that's been the case with me not knowing him, but everybody else in the family knowing him and telling me of his legacy of who he was as a person. And when I got to talk to him, I got to see why me and my mom don't get along, because she's the other personality, but I'm him. He's the gangster that was in the streets with it. I'm the gangster that went to the industry with it.
Yep.
And so it was like the duality of that. I remember on the phone, he would say stuff like, hey man, whatever I do, you got do that shit. Because if you don't do it, it might be the thing that the world misses out on. Hey man, whatever they saying to you, man, fuck all that. You that guy. And I'm like, man, I wonder if I would have got this for my whole life. Like for the whole 20 years. Yeah. If I would have had this.
Imagine,
It's not that I didn't have it, but if I would have had it from you.
Right.
My whole life. Maybe we wouldn't have been in Section 8. Maybe we wouldn't have food stamps. Maybe we wouldn't have been in those type of situations. But then again, because of the type of guy that you were back then, maybe that would have put us in a worse situation with having you around. So, but it made me think from the conversation that we were having. Because I did have a dope stepdad. And they were married for 17 years. And then I got to see how that divorce looked. So now I get to see the situation that you had, the situation my dad and my mom had, the situation my mom and my stepdad had. And I get to see what it looks like every single time that a woman is done with a situation and how they maneuver afterward. It's treacherous.
It is, man. It causes a lot of damage. A lot of people are affected. And I really wonder, I don't understand how women sleep at night. I like how they're at peace with moving that way. But then I have to think, everybody's moving in their own best interest. So as good as we try to be to other people, everybody has to do what makes the most sense to them. And there's sacrifices that are made when you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
So
I see what you're saying.
When I look at it that way, that's why I can't really be too upset at the women, because they're moving in their own best interest, just like fathers are. And if there's no way to make it work in a healthy way, it's like the only solution is for it to get treacherous and for divides to happen. And that's why we have to be more mindful of who we connect with. And and who we have children with, who we develop those close, intimate bonds with. Because once you bring a life into the world,
it's there.
It's there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm in agreement with you. A lot of the video that you had resonated with me as well because I lived at home until I was 25. Until I was 25, and it was a little bit different than yours, but it was very similar. But the thing about it is, I would have conversations with my parents, and I would tell them like, "Yo, can y'all show me what full coverage insurance looks like? Can you show me what a VIN number looks like? Can you show me what a deed to a house looks like?" And for whatever reason, they just didn't have any interest in showing me that.
Wow! And so you would actually go?
I would go to them and try to get that information from them, and they had the information. But for whatever, and the funny part about it was, I got on TV and became a main character when I was 22, and they would always tell me, you wouldn't be able to do those things if you had the responsibility of just everyday life stuff.
Yeah.
And I would be like, but I'm not running from everyday life stuff.
Just living in the reality.
Just living in, you know.
You came in a home that allowed you the time to pursue your dreams, and that's the same home I came up in. They gave me the space to do me.
You. And then it becomes, when they say stuff like that, it becomes reverse trauma, because it's almost like you trying to give me survivor's remorse.
Yeah.
Likes to say that maybe our grandparents didn't do the best job at giving you a stable foundation. But why not pat yourself on the back for giving your child a stable foundation rather than make your child feel guilty for the fact that they have a stable foundation? I thought that was the goal.
Right.
So now we get to the goal and we try to make each other feel bad about the goal that we hit.
Yeah.
It's a weird duality. And when I moved out, me and my mom, we had a weird, because that was during my stepdad and my mom's divorce. We had a weird relationship at that time, because that's when I realized you didn't equip me with the proper knowledge that I needed to be out here on my own.
Yep.
And you knew you didn't.
And that's where the anger comes in.
That's where it comes in for us as a man.
Because my anger was more pointed toward my dad.
Oh, how'd that conversation go?
It wasn't a conversation. It was a song.
Oh, it was a song. You sent it to him?
I wrote a song, completed it, sent it to both of them through email. And they wasn't liking it.
No, they didn't. Okay, what was the response in the email?
I remember it was my dad responding. So, because I remember I reached out and I said, I don't remember exactly what I said in the email, but I know I said, I wrote this song, it's deep. I just want y'all to listen to it. It's a lot of heavy stuff being said, but I just want y'all to hear it out. And then I gave them a concept of what I wanted to do with the artwork. Because in the song, I'm revealing dark thoughts and dark emotions about how I'm hurt because my family isn't together. I'm angry toward my dad because I'm out here about to have a child and I feel completely lost in the world as a man at 30 years old. And I'm like, you knew this. You had to know as a man I was not equipped with the knowledge and the confidence I needed to really get out here and establish myself. So I had to look at him as a man. I wasn't mad at my mom for that. I was mad at my dad. So I basically, I told the concept for the artwork was I wanted to use a family photo of me, my brother, my mom, and dad. And I wanted to show an image of love while I'm expressing all this pain and anger, because I didn't want people to get the message twisted. A lot of times people think when you go public or you're expressing yourself and you expressing from a dark place and you're telling these dark truths, especially about family, that ain't about betraying your family. That's about healing yourself and wanting your family to heal, to get past all this stuff. And because the ultimate goal was to bring all four of us together. When I wrote the song, all four of us actually got back in contact. My brother was in contact. He heard the song. He was excited about the song because he's like, oh, dang, that's like the first time he heard me really go at our parents
and express.
And he was always that from a younger age. He was rebelling at a younger age. At them. So he loved it because he really thrives in that confrontational energy. So I remember the song sparked some interaction in the family, but it didn't bring us together. It created a very dark space, but it did make my dad apologize. So initially when he heard the song, he was about to disown me.
Oh man.
He was like, he was like, absolutely not. You can't use a family photo as the artwork. Are you out your mind? He was like, and if you put that song out, it's over. We done. You ain't part of this family
Yo,
no
that's
more.
heavy.
Yeah. And so I was like,
that's a big word, this on.
so I said, I stood on what I was doing. I said, all right, well, if it's that, I'm putting the song out.
Okay, you took a stance.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened next?
I think maybe a week. I don't know exactly how much time passed, but I remember my dad reached out to me through email again, and that's when he had to rethink. As a man, he had to sit, get over the initial emotional response to it. Because I get it. You hear some shit like that from your youngest son, and I'm really being very critical of him and the family. It hurt. You know, they cried about it.
Yeah.
But after he got over the anger, he reached out again and he said, you know, after listening again, I understand where you was coming from in the song, and I hear the pain. And he validated, okay, you're not wrong in what you're saying. And he had to own up as a man that he did fail us as a family in a lot of different ways. So he sent an email to all three of us, my mom, me, and my brother, in an email, and he apologized to everybody. And he wrote out individually what he was sorry for.
Was
each person.
Your parents had divorced at that time?
No, they always been together. They still together now.
Oh, okay. He just happened to write it so that she could see it too. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
It sounds like that he came to the realization of incubation versus raising, and I think that a lot of, especially in our community, it's a confusion. People feel like that because they give you clothes, they give you a place to stay, and they somewhat treat you with common courtesy. That for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, that's enough for you to be equipped with the knowledge to go out to earth. And that's not even remotely close. And that duality and that balance between having the masculine energy and the feminine energy there are both extremely important. And I think there was a time where the dog that we had might have fallen down or something like that. And I was like, no, he's all right. He let him get up. And she was ready to run over there to him. I was like, no, don't run over there. Don't touch him. He will be fine.
That's the, yep.
And I'm like, but he sees that we both love him from here. As long as he knows that, we're fine. If there's something really wrong with him, we will both go over there. I will channel my feminine energy through you, and you will channel your masculine energy through me. So we don't have to fake it through each other, because then he'll be able to pick that up. But if you baby him, then he will depend on you for everything. And then even when he's out on his own, they're going to be like, yo, come get your kid. Come get your dog. Like,
come save him.
Come save him.
Used to being saved.
He used to be saved all the time. And when you don't get equipped with the proper knowledge, when you go out into the real world, okay, so now we're going from home love to the treacherous love of a woman outside of the home. And everything starts off romantically and friendship. So then you only see that side. But then you don't see the other side of, he can't provide. He doesn't look like this, but the superficial side. He doesn't drive this. He doesn't live here. He doesn't that. Now all of your flaws get highlighted because of everything that you didn't learn and didn't pick up and wasn't able to put yourself in a position to do from the home life.
Yep.
But then you don't have the same patience that came from the home life. Now it's a hurry up. I need this to be done right now.
Yeah.
So that we can push forward with this life.
Yep.
The fortunate thing for my situation, that was a little different than yours, was that I was able to be on TV at 22. So I was able to garnish a bag when I left, but I didn't know what to do with it when I got it. And then I wasn't ready to go straight into being a family man either. Now I'm in a position at 22 where now I can date the women now that I've always wanted. Now I can buy my dream car. Now I can go get my penthouse. Now I can go wear these clothes. Now I can fraternize with this type of circle. But at that time, that's where she was like, it's family time.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any kids. So I'm not trying to hear that it's family time right now for me. I'm just not getting into the candy store and I'm trying to try everything.
Yeah.
So when you did get out, and how long after you got out did you write that song to your folks?
I moved out in May 2018. I wrote the song and put it out November 2018.
Okay. So that was like almost the summertime and then close to the end of that year.
Yep.
And then your dad probably shot you that email probably in January.
Oh no, it was before I put the song out. So it was
Oh, before then.
late
Okay.
October, early November. Yeah, that's when all that happened. Probably late October, early November. Yeah.
So since your brother was the rebellious one, when you grew up, did y'all live in the same house?
Mm-hmm.
Did you used to think that he was tripping with the stuff that he was complaining about
Nope.
back then?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so you knew it was legitimate claims.
Yeah, because I was the more obedient child.
Okay.
I'm the good child, which I'm doing quotations because age and wisdom made me realize my brother wasn't a bad child. He just had more courage at a younger age than me.
Mm-hmm.
He found his voice and his bravery at a younger age,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a different experience with my parents, so he built up more strength because he would get disciplined.
Right.
So when you're used to getting hit and whipped and like corrected for things,
Mm-hmm.
you start to develop a harder approach to
Yeah.
people in life at a quicker rate.
Mm-hmm. And then you get to see your older sibling talk to your parents on an equal playing field rather than like kid to parent.
And when growing up, because my brother is like 5 years older than me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like baby brother,
Yeah.
baby brother. So I always witnessed him arguing with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't no arguing with dad, because by the time dad figure out that you in here acting wild and yelling and raising your voice at your mom, my dad is just coming in to discipline. That's it.
Okay.
It ain't no conversation.
I
You already
see.
know what time it is. About to get the belt.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my brother's anger came because he felt like all the energy he got from our dad was discipline,
Mm-hmm.
correction. He didn't get enough of the love energy, so he basically felt like our dad just didn't love him, didn't care about him, didn't give a damn. Like, you only got words and energy from me when you whooping my ass. That's how he feels.
Did you feel the same way? From looking at his and to you.
Well, even though I wasn't rebellious, I have the same dad that he has. So I understood his frustration because we don't have the most interactive, loving dad that'll just come in your space regularly and get, really tune into what you're doing and connect on that level. So I understood his wanting to have that from our dad, but because I wasn't getting whooped and disciplined, I didn't have as much of an anger toward my dad because there wasn't any trauma or pain there that I was getting from my dad, where I'm longing for the love part more.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So with my brother, he's getting energy from our dad, but it's all negative. So it's making him hate him.
He's building up a resentment for him early. Yeah.
I didn't build the resentment until I started to feel pain through life.
Okay, I see.
So then my pain came outside, and then that's when I felt the lack of the connection that a father and son should have. So I remember my brother told me, he said, I think he said he'll talk to people that have an absent father that's not around at all. And he talks to these people and lets them know, okay, that sounds bad, but imagine living with a dad and feeling like he ain't there. He said that trauma is even deeper because you're waking up and you're around a man every day, but you still feel like he's not there, really.
Yeah, that is deep.
So at this point, my brother ain't got nothing. He ain't got no love for my dad or my mom.
Oh, currently,
he's not. He been
detached a long time ago.
And me and him used to be close growing up, and then our relationship became bad when he moved out. So at this point, last time I talked to my brother was last year. It got heated
between you and him.
So it was a well flowing conversation.
Yeah, you said that.
Like it went from him confronting me about something, and then I addressed it, and then we got an understanding on that, and then we just got kind of caught up on stuff, and then we having cool conversation, just man conversation, and then it went into something, and then we yelling, and I'm going at him, and so it was a very wide range of emotions covered. But this was the first time I talked to my brother as a man, and I felt like I wasn't the little bro anymore.
Right.
He really understood, okay, my little bro is a man now.
Yeah.
That was the conversation where he knew that.
Was that your last conversation? Y'all never haven't spoken to him?
And that was like maybe March or April of last year. Right around this time, this season, early spring, we had that conversation, and that was it.
What you want to say to your brother? Talk to him right now.
I mean, I ain't really got nothing to say to him. I sent him a series. Actually, the last message I sent him, which was late last year, I spent some time with my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad has this screen on his desk, and it has a slideshow of family photos, all types of just memories. And my brother is in that slideshow a lot. Even with him feeling like my parents could pass away. He told me straight up, man, mom and dad, they can pass away. I wouldn't care. I'm at that point. He's at that point. Death don't even move him. He's ready to just be that disconnected from the family. And that's how strongly he feels about, he really just feels like they don't love him. They don't give a damn. So last time I reached out to him, I sent him a voice message and I said, bro, I just got back from our parents' house and my dad has this slideshow of just a bunch of family photos. And I'm like, you in there a lot. So I wanted him to know that even with the disconnect that's happening in our family, you love, bro. That's it. So that's the last thing I told him. So that's really all I would want to tell him. But he hasn't responded. So I don't know if he'll ever respond. If he does, we'll see. He's more of a negative, dark entity, dark spirit. So I don't want to say he's a bad person. He's not naturally loving like me.
Mm-hmm.
He's more comfortable in the dark, confrontational side of life.
Mm-hmm.
I've grown to appreciate that side because you got to have both.
Yeah.
I got the yin yang on right now.
Right.
That's what that is. My brother is the dark. He's the yin. I'm the yang.
So that represents your brother right there.
No, this just represents what I believe in, which is duality. You said that word a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what runs the universe is dark and light energy.
Yeah.
You have to have an appreciation for both in order to have harmony.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have harmony because we got people that play for the light side and we got people that play for the dark side.
Right.
And they don't want to understand each other. So we have war.
Right.
We can't exist. We can't coexist. So yeah,
it makes sense. I think that's another underestimated and not talked about enough relationship is the younger sibling to especially he's the oldest.
Yeah.
To the oldest sibling. Was it just y'all two?
Mm-hmm.
It was just y'all two. I remember my sister on my mom's side is my oldest sister on my mom's side. And I don't remember her having a childhood. I remember her pretty much being my second mom. So I never got to look at my sister as a sister. She was like my second mom. So when my mom got married, my sister's 6 years older than me. My stepdad is 10 years younger than my mom. So it was very hard for my sister to move out of the way as the second parent to let him be the second parent. And they clashed a lot. And my sister, she showed me what it looked like to be fearless. Because my stepdad is like 260, 6'5".
Mm-hmm.
My sister is like 5'1", 90 pounds. But she got the heart of a lion. Mm. If he was to be like square up right now, she would stand there like, so what's up, man? Yeah. Like, that's my oldest sister.
Yeah.
And this is a girl.
Yeah, yeah.
So with me, I didn't have that at that age.
Yep. I
was raised more different. So I got to see what that looks like for somebody to be comfortable in that type of confrontation.
Yeah, yeah.
And I took that same fearlessness that she had and that same gangster mentality that my dad had and took it to the industry instead of taking it to the street. Mm-hmm. But with me and my older sister, even when she talks to me, well, not now, but like in the past years, she had to realize that I'm not her baby brother anymore too. Same thing had to happen. Yep. Because what happens is when you have an older sibling, they'll stop talking to you and they'll start talking at you.
Yeah, that's what my brother do.
He talks at you. Yeah.
And because he has this negative opinion of our dad, he feel like he got to play dad to me. Like,
yeah.
I remember like he said, yeah, you know, our dad ain't going to do it. He ain't going to talk to you like this. So I got to talk to you like this. And that's when, okay, you're not dealing with no little boy anymore. Yeah. That's when we start clashing.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is right there.
Yeah.
Yep. and my sister would do it right in front of my mom, and then my mom won't say anything. The last thing that happened with me and my sister was when my parents got divorced. My stepdad came with a daughter and a son. To this day, those are still my little siblings in my mind. But my sister, she washed her hands of that situation and said, I don't want to have nothing to do with them. So I called my mom when they got home from a concert, and all of them were in the car, my biological siblings. And I was like, I just got off the phone with Vigilante, who's my stepsister, and da 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 da. And I'm talking to my mom, and who's responding? My sister. Well, this, that, and that, this, and this, that. I'm not talking to you.
Yeah.
I'm talking to my mom.
Yeah.
But we've never had a situation where I've had to tell her, yo, shut up. I'm not talking to you. Be quiet.
Right.
And so now he's looking at her like this is damn near her son telling her that same thing. So is it the same duality with you and your brother?
That's probably what the last conversation was to him. I mean, yeah, for him. Because I remember after we got into our heated conversation, he was like, because we was even talking about physical confrontation and getting into fights, because he always talks about the physical confrontations he's been in. And my reality with that is I've only had one physical confrontation, and it was when I was very young, in kindergarten, where I was getting bullied a little bit. And it got a little physical on the bus, and the dude pushed me in the seat, and I kicked him because I was on my back. He kind of pushed me into the seat, and that was the only time I've ever experienced rage on the level of like I got to defend myself. You kind of have that blackout moment where you just get into your more primal state where you just ready to go to war. You ready to fight?
You're ready to go to war. Yeah.
So it happened real quick, and I remember because I had a really cool bus driver, and she had never seen me like that. So I remember her face was like, "Oh my God!" And that's always been a thing with me. Is that was the only physical confrontation, but even if I just get mad, people like if it's a room full of people and they know me, everything get quiet because they're not used to that energy. They be like, "Wow, you mad for real?"
Yeah.
So when I was talking to my brother the last time, I got to that point and he was talking to me about the confrontations, and I told him he didn't even know the story about me getting bullied in kindergarten and having to, kick somebody in the face. I don't know if I kicked him in the face or I know I kicked him. And after that, the bully, he wasn't bothering me no more after that. He actually wanted to be my friend after that. But I wasn't fucking with him after that. So when I told him that, he was like, "Okay, I didn't know that. Okay." So my brother on the phone like, "Oh, I didn't know you had that in. Okay, I see. And he big into the zodiac too. So he studies the zodiac very deep. So he's actually looked up my birth chart and he knows all my signs. So he says something about how one of my planets or moon or whatever is in Aries, and he said that energy is very aggressive and can be violent. So I remember him saying after I told him what I told him about just me not being fearful, he was okay. I know what I need to know now. I remember him saying that. So I think that's what you were saying, where it's like they have to see that level of confrontation from you, so they know, okay,
that there's been a shift in the dynamic.
Yeah. And then they can look at you in a different light.
For sure. And I can agree with that. That's another reason why I started celebrity boxing, not because of her, but because as men, we have to become comfortable with the not opportunity, but with the possibility of there being physical confrontation.
Yes.
I remember I was filming on the set of Star, and this was the day, for those who know the Keke Palmer song that was on the radio, when she filmed that episode, I was there, and she's shooting the music video. Me and my girl is in the back. She's all the way over there. I'm over here. I'm with the strippers. And they have, I'm throwing the money on the strippers, and there's like this confrontation going on over there. And the director goes, "Is everybody over there good? Is everybody straight?" Yeah, cool. I look over there, but it's a big crowd, so I can't see who's over there. The water is over here. I go over here to get water. I notice there's no water over there. I go back over there to bring the water to my girl. She gives me this hug. This hug is like don't go back over there. And the dude, Ralph, my guy, Y'all may have seen Ralph. He's on all of the DK and Suits posters and billboards and stuff when you drive through Atlanta. My guy Ralph, he's like, "Hey man, you staying over here?" And I was like, "No, I'm about to go back over there." I'm like, "This is why the fuck they keep asking me why am I going back over there?" So then, when they right after that next scene cut, all right, y'all about to take a break. All right, cool. I'm walking outside, and my girl is a very jolly person.
Mm-hmm.
She's very down right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? There's all these strippers in here. And you got Kiki right there. And she's like, everything is cool. Just this guy, he's calling me a bitch. And I was like, cool. Now, I'm on set.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this at this time for like 5 years. So I know everybody that's here. If there's one place that you don't want to mess with me, it's here. Mm-hmm. Because I know everybody that's here. Mm-hmm. She's like, him. When she said him, immediate beeline. Went right over there to him. And so me and him, we talking. Mm-hmm. And we chopping it down. And immediately I realized he's not all the way there. It's something wrong with him to where he has a mental block. Mm. So I have to tread lightly because if I get into a confrontation with him, it'll be considered bullying. But I do want to be stern enough to let him know this is my girl. Mm-hmm. You're going to apologize, and then we can just go back to filming.
Yeah.
So he told me to my face, I'm not apologizing. Fuck that bitch.
Oh.
I said, okay, cool. You know what? I'm not mad at you. Let me just go grab my bag right quick. Me and you and 2 other people can just go around this corner. We can handle the situation, and then we can come back to set like nothing happened. Mm. So I go to grab my bag. When I come back out, dude is surrounded by like 7 of my dudes.
He had to go get the squad.
It's because my girl was one of those girls where she little sis to everybody. Because she's so tiny and she's so jolly. She's one of those girls that everybody wants to protect her. Mm-hmm. So now when that happened, she didn't even have to tell me. Everybody else saw and was like, "Yo, we about to fuck this dude up." But they was waiting on my call. And I was like, okay. You know what? We about to go around the corner right quick. We about to settle this. I don't want nobody else coming over there because I don't want them to say that we jumped them. Mm. So then by that time, the set coordinators are seeing this happen. They're asking me what's going on. They ask my girl what's going on. We tell them the story. They're about to kick old dude off set. I said, no, we ain't got to fuck with his money. I don't want him to fuck up his livelihood. But he will apologize to my girl. And then he apologized. And when he apologized, I looked at her and I said, you good? And she went right back to smiling. Mm-hmm. And I said, yeah, she's straight. And we went right back to filming. And we had a conversation after that about what to do in those situations where something like that is about to pop off. Because and she was like, I've never seen you like that before. And I said, I don't want you to ever see me like that. Mm. But this is a time where you have to see me like that, because if I was soft in this situation, he would have just bulldozed over everything. And then all of our other homies would have had to jump him. Now they getting kicked off set for a situation that didn't even involve them. But I was comfortable in this because I understood what I had to do as a man. But the problem is I wasn't celebrity boxing yet. So I didn't even know if I knew how to fight or not. I just knew this is what I had to do to defend my girl.
Gotcha.
So when me and my girl broke up, Kevin Samuels became the biggest personality in the world at that time. Yep. At this time, I am everything that they would consider to be the high value man. I'm wealthy, I'm handsome, all of that good stuff, whatever the hell. And I have no kids. And I'm coming out of a relationship with 2 women. I had a poly relationship, and we were all living together for the last 6 months of that relationship. Now I'm lost in life because everything that I was going to do moving forward involved my 2 women.
How old were you?
At that time, I had to be 24, about 24.
Okay.
I'm 30 now, for those who don't know. Cool. And so when the boxing gym is right down the street from my house, I go to the boxing gym so I can get my mind off of this, and because Kevin listed everything, and I'm like, I got that. He says, trained in combat. I said, ooh.
Don't got that.
I don't got that. So I went down to the boxing gym, and I'm thinking, all right, I get some gloves out, I can throw some hands with some people. I'm thinking it's fun and games. The only people that they had in there were pros and amateurs that were about to go to the pros. Mm-hmm. I'm the only motherfucker in there that's on some influencer celebrity boxing shit and fitness shit. Mm-hmm. You think the coach cared? No. You think he cared? No. So as soon as I got there, he threw me in the ring with his amateurs and his pros.
Oh, and you had to spar?
Yeah. I'm getting my ass whooped all up and down the street before I got my veneers. And it was particular on this one day it was fighting a southpaw. The southpaw is the person that's left-handed. And I wasn't trained in it. So he goes this way, goes that way, and he punches me dead in my mouth. And my mouthpiece is in my mouth. I go to the bathroom. My mouthpiece is full of blood. And I go, dude, you're already on TV. You're already in magazines. You're already doing your thing. You don't have to be here.
Yeah.
You can just walk out the door and you don't have to deal with this. And then as I'm packing my bag, I go, what type of bitch ass nigga is you? If you walk out of this gym, you're the bitch ass nigga. Because everybody in here can fuck you up. So if I bring my girl in this environment, what's stopping them from beating my ass in front of my girl and taking my girl from me? What if I get into a confrontation with one of them? Then what I'm gonna do? And I just had to have a hard conversation with myself as a man. And I got back in that ring and I just learned how to block. And then I start coming early. Let me figure out how to shoot this jab. Let me figure out how to, and then I got nice as I kept going. And it made me comfortable with confrontation in the event that it happened. And then I would go home and I would show my girl what I learned and I would start teaching her. And I remember we were on vacation with her parents in the Smoky Mountains. And I was down there and I put my hand up and I said, shoot the one. Her mom was right here, her dad was right here. And she threw a jab. Shoot the two. Shoot the one, two. And they're watching her and they're like, our little girl knows how to box. Because I taught her how to box. And I looked at her and I said, I'm about to be really big. I don't know what hating ass shit people have planned for me when I get big. And the only way they're going to be able to get to me is through you. So I need you to know how to do this shit. I love you, and I don't know what I'm going to do if me and you are not together anymore, especially if something happens to you. And that's the moment that they realize I love their daughter. Because I didn't really express love in like a mushy, gushy kind of way. I'm not really that kind of guy. But that was one of the moments where I had to be vulnerable with her so she could take it seriously. Because she's very playful. And I wanted her to learn how to do it in case somebody runs up on her in a way where I'm not there. Just like how that situation happened with that dude. So that's where and I remember shortly after that, when I got nice, guess who hits me up?
Okay.
So I'm giving you the backstory to how that happened.
So I hit you up during
when later, it was like a year or two later, and you said, man, them boxing videos you're doing are really dope. I really wanted to learn how to get into boxing. Because y'all didn't see how I was going to tie that story in with my guy. So, and I said, okay, but I got you. Next time I go to the gym, just come with me. Because I remember what it was like my first time going to the gym.
Yeah.
So we never got a chance to go, but we're going to do that. But I just remembered that you had hit me up and asked me to do that. And if I would have walked out the gym that day, like a bitch ass nigga, and I never came back, that would have never happened to where he would have never saw it. I would have never got hit up by celebrity boxing and be my first celebrity boxing match. And then I would have never got my Levi campaign because guess what happened when I got good at boxing? My body chiseled up. Me and you have a skinnier frame. So in order for our muscles to be defined, we have to do cardio in a certain way for us to have our muscular structure. Boxing. That's what it was. And I figured it out. Whew. It's one of them things where it's per person. It's per person. For myself, I'm a very ABC 1, 2, 3 kind of person. So once I figured out what it is to actually throw the jab and to throw the two, I was able to break it down to its smallest molecule to make sure that I wasn't doing it wrong. The problem and the beautiful thing about boxing is that there's a mental block. If a person is not confident in themselves, you can look at them and go, man, I will fuck you up, even if they're good. Because I know how to frustrate you to make you forget about all your fundamentals and make you forget about everything. That's why they say everybody got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And then that plan goes out the window. And that's why their coach got to yell at them, do this, do that, go over here, do that. Because he's getting his ass whooped. And now it's so much adrenaline going that game plan. And what I did was I went the reverse route to where no matter what happens, I'm always remember my game plan. That's why Floyd is undefeated, because no matter whatever happens to him in the ring, he never forgot his game plan. Kept his game and his fundamentals.
Yep.
And I always used to watch Floyd press conferences and be like, Floyd is saying he about to fuck this person up. This person good as hell. What am I missing? What am I missing? But what I was missing is that as a man, he can look at that other man and look at his soul. He's like, you ain't got it. You ain't got it.
And he's confident in his own abilities.
His own abilities.
That's what it is.
Did you ever take a combat class? So you still got to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. When do you plan on starting?
I don't know. I don't have a plan on it.
Okay, so we're going to create a plan. Me and you, especially now that it goes with what we were talking about before we got on camera about the community fitness. So we can incorporate that together, because you don't even need a boxing gym in order for you to do boxing. You can do that anywhere, in the park, anywhere we go. So I'm holding myself accountable within the Wave community for me to help more people learn the art of boxing, and to give my fitness tips as well and my dietary tips, so that we can have a better tomorrow for our people. That's my pledge on this camera.
I fuck with that, bro. That's dope.
When we met at the Bowden Awards, now I'm about to transition. When we met at the Bowden Awards, when you said on your video that you really didn't know what it was going to be like when we met each other in person, what were you picking up from online that was different from when we met in person? You personally.
So looking at your social media and how you present yourself, it's very bold, it's very confident. These are things that I have. You do it, your style is a little different than how I do what I do. So like you said, you take more of an industry approach. Your content is more, I would say, it's more thought out. It's more intentional. It's more, it's less random. Like, I'm more of a random show myself creator. I think when I saw you, I'm like, okay, I know he has created, it's almost like you create a character for yourself. And I saw you explain how you came up with the name Vigilante. You had to embody what that type of person is.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if, it's hard to tell, is this guy real or is he just playing a role?
Okay, I see.
So when I see people that I feel are playing a role, I got my antennas up like, all right, I respect the hustle. I respect how you move. I respect the presentation. I respect the intention behind everything you do, but I didn't know who you were really.
So it's almost like meeting Jake from State Farm and not knowing if we're going to get Jake from State Farm or whatever this person's real name is. Am I going to meet that person? And how is his personality for real?
So I had to get through. I had to get through the mental block of judging you from a distance, and like, I've seen personalities like this where it feels like they're just playing a role to look a certain way or to appear a certain way. So that's what was in my mind before I met you in person.
That makes sense.
But when I approach people with my genuine energy, and I just pick up on whatever I get back. So I didn't go into it thinking you were going to be an asshole. I didn't think you were an asshole. It just came off, you know how they call people Hollywood? Came off like, okay, he's playing a role. So I have to see who he is when I meet him.
Right.
So.
Right. And I can see that. I think that perspective is extremely important, because when you post on, that's why it was so important for me to reach out to you and let you know how I perceived your video, because you can perceive it a certain way, she can perceive it a certain way, your baby mom probably won't perceive it a certain way, but how does the general consensus of the people feel about what I'm saying? And as long as nobody is being bashful, I can take everybody's opinion from where they're sitting into consideration. So that's why when you made your video, it was very important for me to understand with this, with the vigilante mantra that I have, to still be okay with giving Lamarcus Steele to everybody, to the people who deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of vigilante became like my hardening layer.
Yeah.
To where it was like, okay, and once I feel like that you're a good person, then you can get your market.
Yeah.
Until then, you're gonna be a vigilante. And when you maneuver within the industry, when you maneuver within the treacherous women that are in the industry, then it puts, you gotta have an added layer of armor. And so vigilante became my layer of armor. And then my social media became, because it wasn't paid at the time when we met especially, it became just my place to promote.
Yep.
And then so now people are only getting my promotion side. But then when Instagram, TikTok, YouTube also start paying, then I said, you know what? I'm gonna give them the markets. I'm gonna tell them stories about my upbringing, how I got my name, why I plan on moving out of America, this, that. I'm gonna talk to them because they've been supporting me for the past 10 years. Let them know who I am. And that's why you see the difference in the way that I'm doing my content now. So I felt like that was very important right there for people to be open to understanding what it is that people see when you come across their timeline. Do you know, or have you asked somebody else that same question?
What?
About yourself. What they see when you come across their timeline.
No, I don't think I ever asked anybody that directly. And it's probably because I don't really be caring what people think about me. Because like the way I present myself in a way that makes me very vulnerable. So I'm used to, I'll say something that's embarrassing, but I'm not embarrassed because I don't care about people's judgments. And I'm not as tactical with the way I present myself in order to position myself to get something. So I could actually be, not pretty sure, I know for a fact, a lot of the things I've posted throughout my life have blocked opportunities because when you're trying to attract sponsorships like your approach, that's why I respect it. And I honestly feel like we have a lot in common. So you know how they say when you see yourself in somebody else, like the person that you think you not gonna like, the thing you don't like about them, it's in you too.
That's interesting.
You know what I mean? Like, but you just have a different way of expressing it.
Yeah.
Show up in a different kind of way.
You can break that down. Break that down for the people. No, I get what you're saying, but I know that because we're the same in that way, you get it, but I want you to explain it to them.
Like we really are both the creative people. We got the same, like even when you pointed out the physique, I think we look alike.
Yeah, we have a similar diet.
Like same complexion. It's the same type of energy. It's the same goal. We're both very focused on entrepreneurship, building stuff for ourselves. We're business minded. I've been doing that my whole life. So when I saw you, I'm like, okay, this guy has a lot of qualities that I have. And a lot of times men, I think I might have said this in that voiceover in that video, the Bolden Award video, that men get into unnecessary competition with each other.
Yes, you did say that. Yeah.
Because when you look at another man that has confidence and has abilities and he's making moves for himself, we're trained to go to war with another man that threatens us like that. And it's like, why would you be threatened by another man's abilities or the way he presents himself to the public? You don't have to be better than every man you see. It's about being the best. Because if we just saying the best, that's literally one spot.
Yeah.
So you saying every man wants to be the top dog? Like what good is that doing for our communities if our men are thinking that way?
Right.
So that I had to check that energy in me when I would see you, because I still do have that energy in me where I do like competition. I do like to test my skills up against another man's skill. And I think that is a core part of manhood, but we have to do it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
You could be in healthy competition with another man and still have respect for him. And you could find a way to collaborate and build with that man.
Right.
So that's the thoughts I had to get past when I would see your page. And I also had to understand that everybody doesn't present themselves publicly the way I do.
Right.
Everybody's not on the internet to just tell their whole life story and show themselves in the most vulnerable state. And I respect the way you present yourself, because then it made me look at myself and I'm like, the way he's presenting himself, and this is where the part that you don't like about a person, you have to ask yourself why. So why am I so bothered that he accentuates the things he has and he talks about his car and his jewelry, and why is that bothering me? Why is it bothering me that he's so tactical and he's always, talking about sponsorships and things? And I'm like, maybe it's because I know that I could have moved that way too, but I didn't. And now I'm looking at another man that has similar abilities as me and he's making it work for him. I didn't do that in my life. I took the different route where I wanted to take the humanitarian route, and I wanted to look out for everybody else. So a lot of my years when I was 30 and younger, I spent that time building communities for people, free communities.
Right.
I didn't get anything. So my story is investing all that talent that I have, but pouring it into people and hoping that I can build a community for people, and it crash and burned every time. So I'm looking at another man that's doing it different, doing it the way that I think about a lot. Because I'm like, I'm 37 now. I'll be 38 this year. And I have moments where I'm like, what if I just would have been selfish? What if I would have just said, fuck these people. I'm just going to play the game in my own favor. Let me just make the moves that's going to make me better and make me money. And let me be tactical in the way I show up so that I can position myself to get sponsorships and business deals and whatever it is I'm trying to do in my life. What if I just would have focused on my music instead of trying to build communities for other artists, or not even focusing on music, because it went from music to just building communities for people.
Yeah.
So that's the part where I had to look in the mirror, because you didn't know me. You're not doing nothing to me.
Yeah.
Why do I have a negative opinion of a man, or why am I looking at him a certain way? I don't even know who he is. It's things that you have that I don't have, or things that you're doing that I decided not to do. And that ain't your fault. That's my fault.
Man, that was important. That was extremely important. There's so many different directions I can go with that. I'm gonna go here first. Okay. But I appreciate you for being that vulnerable in that statement. That's the most masculine thing that you can do. And so I remember when I was on the set, I forgot what set we was filming, and I'm sitting at the table. I have 12 girls at this table. I go to the bathroom. I come back and there's a dude sitting at this table. And I don't know who this dude is. He's not sitting in my seat. He's just sitting at the table. And I walk over to him and I'm like, yo, what's up? So I'm trying to figure out why you sitting at this table. It's me and my girl sitting at this table, and he has his headphones on. He's like, oh, what's good, bro? And I'm like, what you listening to? He said, this is me. I said, let me see. He hands me the headphones. This is our first conversation.
Okay.
He hands me the headphones, and I'm listening. I'm like, yo, this nigga is fire. He was really good. Turned out it was Sean Hendricks from Grand Hustle.
Okay.
This guy has to be one of the most talented singers I have ever met in my entire life. And we have so many similarities. We were brothers like this. We met on a Monday. We were brothers by Friday. And I said, you know what? You can sit right here. And I didn't even fuck with him no more. I was just like, you got it. Because he was such a cool dude and he was so talented. And then once we started to build up a rapport, I realized, oh, he got insecurities too. And I got to see his insecurities through us being around each other. And I saw how he looked at me, it's kind of similar to how you looked at me and was like, yo, this dude Hustle is on a million. I need to be around him so I can pick some of this up. Because he was talented, but he didn't really have the work ethic. And he didn't really look at the industry the same way I did. I never wanted to be a singer, but at the end of the day, especially when it comes to women, nothing compares to a great singer. The way that a singer can come in and change the entire energy of any situation, a stage play, a performance, a romantic situation, just anything. And it taps into a feminine side that men who can't sing, we don't really have access to that side unless we assess it other ways. Like we got to go alternative routes. And the thing about me is that I never been able to sing, so I was able to figure out every other alternative route. And it was a little bit uncomfortable for him because he never met somebody that figured out every other alternative route.
Okay.
And so once we understood that about each other, we understood where we stood as men, as brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And I always did the same thing when I was around him. I told everybody, he's the greatest. That's the guy. He's the star.
Mm-hmm.
Even though everybody looked at me with the bigger following like that, I knew that because he was like 3 years younger than me, Lil Bro was the man. And people wouldn't understand that when they were around me.
Mm-hmm.
But what it was that I was letting him know that it was okay for us not to be in competition with each other.
There we go.
I love you, bro, and you the best.
Yeah.
When men behave that way, because it's hard, like, not see men behave that way with each other. You guys can actually shine a light on another man and not compete.
Yeah. Yep. I remember for his birthday, it was right around the time where Jacquees had just did that "I'm the King of R&B" thing. And in a way, I've been in Atlanta for a long time. I've never in my life seen anybody have an independent fan base the way that Jacquees had an independent fan base. That was outstanding. This is before the Cash Money deal. So I'm not mad at you for saying that. But what I'm going to say to you is that for Sean Hendricks' birthday, I got him a hoodie that said Sean Hendricks, King of R&B. And I gave him that in front of everybody because I wanted them to know this is the guy. And our relationship didn't last for other reasons, but I just remember that we had, when you put two king chairs right next to each other, it can create a really weird energy.
Yeah.
But when those two kings learn how to coexist with each other and to appreciate everything that the other person comes with, then it balances out the energy.
Mm-hmm.
The other direction I wanted to go in with that is presenting on social media. I always felt like that people had so many unsolicited opinions about shit that I didn't give a fuck to hear about.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm driving my dream car, I really don't give a fuck about how you feel about that.
Right.
But then I had to look at it because one thing that I admire about you is that you learned how to be a humanitarian early. I was a vigilante early.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a humanitarian side to me, but I didn't fully embody what it meant to be a humanitarian early. And I didn't understand that when God was giving me these blessings, there can be a certain way that I can present it that can be looked at like I'm looking down on the next person, depending on how I present my blessings to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to check myself and sometimes remember the way that I was talking to people or saying different stuff to be like, man, at the end of the day, this is all just stuff.
Yeah.
And human interaction, nature interaction, and animal interaction is really the only interaction that we really have that's potent.
Yeah.
Everything else is just technology and superficial shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even right now, I had to get to a place. This is a gold Rolex that I have on right now. This whole interview has been covered up like this. That's how you know that I got to that place where I don't care about that stuff anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a minute to get there because I built up a resentment for what social media accidentally became. The first thing I did when I got verified way before Meta Verify came around. The first thing I did when I got verified is I turned my comments off. Because I no longer care what anybody had to say. I won. That top seat that you said everybody is competing for, I got it. I won. I'm on TV now. I'm verified. I drive my dream car. I'm about to get my penthouse. What can you guys say now? So I kind of built up that resentment toward the public having an opinion at all. And I had to later, it wasn't that I was doing anything wrong. It was that I was presenting myself in a way to where I didn't understand the effects of how people could look at it, especially for the people who didn't even see me like that. Yeah. They wanted Remarcus, and I was giving them so much vigilante that it was diluting itself out.
Yeah, it dehumanizes.
It dehumanized me.
And me, like you said, me tapping into that humanitarian so early in my life, when I run into personalities like you, it makes me a little iffy because I can't see the human, and I don't respect when I can't see a human.
Right.
Because you, at some point, you got to take the mask off. And I'm an artist. I know about creating identity, so that's why I'm not knocking you having the identity and living up to. I love it. That's dope. Every creator has to figure out, who do I want to be in the world.
Right.
And there is a process where you come up with. Man, I've had a lot of different names. Yave is the last name. I'm not gonna have no more names. But before Yave, started with Frenchie. My last name's French.
Okay.
That nickname was given to me by my friends in school. Then it went Frenchie PKA Genius because my first online community was when I got into community building. It was called the Progression. Everybody had a PKA name, progressively known as. So I had to come up with another identity. So I came up with Genius because my mom would call me a musical genius. So I used to, on my music, I used to write Frenchie, subtitle would be the musical genius. So when I created the second identity, I just turned genius into a name and I spelled it different. I just spelled it JEENYUZ.
Very different. Yeah.
So that was my alternative identity. So then it went from that to just, I cut the whole first part of the name off because I stopped managing the progression and I needed a shorter name. So I just said, I'm gonna just go by Genius. Then I got tired of calling myself a genius because it felt too
kind of vain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't really, that's not my energy.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
you don't have a vain energy.
No.
Yeah.
And then I would be on my track saying like, my name is Genius. I am a genius. That was my that was like my catchphrase for a while. And I'm like, that shit was just sounding corny to me. It just sounded forced. So
yeah.
Like, let me just, I still have an attachment to this genius name because it came from my mom. She was the first person to call me a genius.
Sentimental value in the name.
So I said, let me just cut it in half and just turn it into a name. So then I just started going by Gene, Jeen. And then that name had to die because it just wasn't speaking to me anymore. And then it was the Aota era, which I was tapping more into figuring out who I am, where I come from, having a connection to the land where I was born, which is America, and knowing the history of this land. I know the natives were the first people here, so I wanted to have more of a connection to them. I have an uncle that used to call me Cherokee growing up. That's still his nickname. He called me Cherokee. So to pay homage to the natives and to embrace that, because I've never done any research on like all the different blood I have in me, but I just feel like I have some native blood in me. So Aota is a Native American word that means great. So I had updated my name, kind of like how you did when you created Vigilante. It's the process of creating a name. You have to make it make sense. It's like it's an intentional thing you do.
Yeah.
So it was an intentional name change when I changed it to Alexander Aota. I was going by Brandon Aota, Alexander Aota. I wanted to kind of just get rid of having just an identity created and use one of my birth names. So that's why I used my middle name, Alexander, and then I used my created name, which was Aota. And I thought I was done with name changes after that. I thought that was it. And then right before I moved back to Atlanta, I did this 1 hour film. I call it a phone film because I shot the whole thing on my phone. I didn't even know it was going to be a movie or a short film. I really was just trying to explain to people who I was because I felt like nobody understood my purpose. They didn't know how to help me, and I was frustrated.
Right.
So I'm on the video comparing myself to some of the biggest names that we know of on the planet that have done great things. Martin Luther King, Kanye West, Michael Jackson, Prince, Cat Williams. These people that I have qualities of all of them. I have qualities of music talent, the humanitarian Martin Luther King energy, the aesthetic of a Michael Jackson or a Prince, the slender, creative, you know what I mean?
Right.
With a little bit of that feminine energy, that soft energy.
Yeah.
Comparing myself to all these people, Kanye, the passionate creative, because I can go there. So I'm using these comparisons to explain to people who I am. And then by the end of the movie, I figured out I still didn't really fully know who I was. I was trying to explain to them who I was, and then the name Yave just came at the end of the film because I was trying to come up with a word to describe the monetary support that I needed. So I came up with Yave as the term for uh, a monetary donation given to a non-religious person. I said that because Martin Luther King was part of the church. He had a lot of support through the church. He had a congregation behind him that helped him elevate. Me not being attached to any religion, I needed to create something to make people understand what I need because they thought I was scamming when I would ask for money. I'm on this humanitarian mission. I'm not presenting myself the way you do in the industry. I've always been almost really anti-industry for a lot of my life.
Right.
Don't want to be part of no industry because I didn't see the heart in it. I didn't see the human in it. So came up with Yave, and then I'm like, okay, I needed a label to embody what I do. You know how you have a business card and you have your name, and then the subtitle is like whatever your role is.
Almost like
like you're a music producer, you're a designer, whatever your job title is. But because I do so much, I'm like, there's no word to describe what I do. I do a lot of shit. So I'm like, let me just shorten Yave and just say Yave, as that's my title. That's my job title. But Alexander Ayotta was supposed to be the name.
Y'all just got the exclusive.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all know that.
That's stuff that, like, if you watch the full hour plus film that I made, it'll explain the whole name. But basically, Yave ended up being the name, and it found me. I wasn't trying to create a new name. It's just the thing that embodied who I was, and it was the thing that felt good coming off my tongue because names have a vibration.
Yes.
So if you like, there's certain sounds that you like. That's spiritual. It's a vibe. So I use the letter Y because it's soft. It's like, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I was coming up with that stuff, it was a very spiritual thing. So I don't know how I got so deep into the name thing, probably because I was talking about how you came up with your name.
Oh yeah. That was a good one. That was probably gonna be y'all next episode. I stole it from that. So I can appreciate that. What I was gonna say after that was that brought me into what we were talking about outside. For both of y'all. Why haven't any of y'all looked any deeper into your ancestry?
Thought about it. I definitely thought about it. You know where to start.
Well, my dad, he's done his full ancestry. So I do know from his ancestry, we have Canadian blood, we have German blood. I think the African blood may have been Nigerian. I don't know. I can't quote. That's why I told you I didn't really know.
But it almost sounds like a disconnection.
What?
Not because you don't know, but it doesn't sound like that you genuinely crave to know.
Yeah.
Is that the honest answer?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's dive deeper into that, and we're gonna get back to.
Oh, and then I want to also with the it's also a frustration that we even have to research.
I see. Yeah, in the first place.
And there's this money attached to where you have to pay a site to find out your ancestry. That just seems very.
Let me touch on that because you're right, and let me say this right here. We can't rewrite history at all. I opened my passport the other day, and I don't know if y'all have y'all passport, but on the first page of your passport is a boat with slave owners on it in America. And this imagery is going to be imagery that we're constantly reminded of until the end of time. So if the harshest thing that a person can do to me now is to make me pay $20 to be able to learn about some stuff, whether it's accurate or inaccurate, because there's always that discrepancy too, then, well, let me walk you through what my journey has been to me, and then we can circle back to that.
Okay.
So what made me start doing that was I do foodie content, so restaurants will pay me to come out and do content for them and promote them on my page. I went to this Ethiopian spot, and there was this beautiful woman. She had on her Ethiopian garment wrapped around her, and her husband was such a cool dude, and they had the dopest relationship. And she does a coffee ritual with me. Usually I'm in there, do my stuff, I'm out. But that day, we lingered for about 5-6 hours. And I just seen the submissiveness and just the softness of that wife. And I'm just like, yo, where y'all from? And he was like, we're from Ethiopia. I didn't know where Ethiopia was. And I also didn't know that Ethiopia is where coffee originated from. So now, if we don't notice, somebody's going to steal that history from us just like they've done already.
Mm-hmm.
So they asked me, where you from? I said, I was born in Flint, Michigan. They said, I mean, we know that, but where you from? I graduated college at 19. I got into movies and became a lead role when I was 22. It's very rare in my life that I look like a dumbass. But I was one of the times.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting there and just like,
I don't know.
And that's when I realized that I'm really operating in this world just as a black man that was born into America. And I speak, and I didn't even realize this, with a European British accent. This is not my native tongue. I'm supposed to be talking like this, and I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So now that sparked my identity crisis.
Yeah.
And I did my first 23andMe thing, and it came back Igbo Nigerian. I didn't know about the Igbo people, and when I started researching them, I realized I've read like 5 books about them, and didn't even know it was them.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who don't know, the Igbo tribe is famous for their Igbo landing photo, which is when you see the slaves with the water up to their neck and they holding hands. That's the Igbo people, and that's because when they were illegally taken from Africa in Nigeria, that's where the Igbo people hail, and they were illegally traded in Georgia, which Igbo landing is about 4 hours away. I'm gonna be there May 22nd, and they overtook the ship. And when they got there was other colonizers there, like, where the fuck is y'all slave masters at? We killed them all. And they like, yeah, we about to overtake y'all ship then. And they was like, we're not about to overtake our ship. We would rather hold hands and walk in this water and chant, the water brought us here, the water will bring us back, and all die together at the bottom of this ocean before we become colonized by you.
Mm.
And that's what happened. And I have a photo on my wall that's 50% complete that says Igbo Landing. So I plan on taking it down there and sitting at Igbo Landing and finishing my photo. This is when people get to see the Marcus Steele side instead of the vigilante side.
Mm-hmm.
And being a part of that tribe, I have my following, I posted it on Instagram, and it took no time for the Igbo tribe to reach out to me and say, we always thought that you was one of us. From Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Because as black people in America, we forget that after slavery ended, Africa continued. Their tribes continued. Their native customs continued. We're too arrogant here to acknowledge that other people exist in other places. So they're hitting me, they're tagging me, they're commenting, they're liking, and my mind is just completely blown.
Mm-hmm.
And when I start getting on the phone and talking to their women and hearing the way that they talk and hearing the level of submissiveness, and that's what made me create that video that said how the woman in America became the worst woman to date, the timeline. It's not the woman, it's the indoctrination.
Mm-hmm.
I went all the way from slavery and then watching us get hung from trees and having to look at the white man as the boss.
Yep.
So they could never even look at their man as the boss anymore, being stripped from his throne, all the way to Jim Crow, segregation, all the way to government assistance, all the way to women taking over the rap game. Like, I did the whole timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my most viewed video on my page besides my episode of For My Man, but that's TV1, that don't count. So when I did that, it sparked a journey in me to, my YouTube started to blow up, and I said, I've never taken my YouTube seriously. Like, in this whole conversation, you haven't heard me talk seriously about my YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So then, but I had it the whole time. So then I went, let me go ahead and take this seriously. It's another stream of income that I can have. And if I plan on moving abroad, I need to take it more seriously. So I took it more seriously. And then I used the DNA kits as an opportunity to be a measuring stick. I put myself in the forefront to say, if y'all don't believe it, I'm going to do it. And if it's inaccurate, I want y'all to tell me. Because y'all don't know. This is y'all custom heritage. You know where this is from because you live in Africa your whole life. So tell me if this is wrong, because this is an American company. So I used it to hold the companies accountable. And I learned so much information. Now, when I'm out somewhere, I can see a black woman wearing something and go, oh, you must be from the Aquan tribe. How you know that?
Yeah.
Because that you have on that right there, the way you just said that, and what it does is it opens a chakra inside of you so that you can have a self-identity. So with me knowing all of the tribes that I come from, now I know why my hair is like this, why I'm this tall, why my frame is like this, what I can eat to do this. And then also what it does is, at first it was just some cool shit to know. Like, oh, this is cool. But I had a feeling, and it happened a year later after I found out what I was. It became credentials. So when I did my citizenship for the Vigilante tribe yesterday, I sent in my African ancestry that says Remarcus Steele is a part of the Fulani and Vigilante tribe of Guinea-Bissau. And when I sent that to their prime ministers and to their government, I sent it with my passport, my birth certificate, and my ID. They have to acknowledge that I'm a part of this tribe. And if I want to come home, I have a birthright to come home. So then it went from this some cool shit to know to now this is my gateway back home. So that's where it comes full circle to where even though we have to buy it back, they're giving us $1 billion worth of information and criteria for $20.
Yeah.
You're pretty much, I'm paying for my freedom right now. I'm buying myself out of my slave deal, my 360 deal. America is a 360 deal. This is a place now, this is an industry. This was never built for family. It was marketed as family.
Yep.
And when you talk to a woman or just anybody from Africa, somebody can walk past them and start speaking Spanish, they'll start speaking it with them. Start speaking French, they'll speak it with them. Start speaking an African language, they'll start speaking. Same woman. She knows 7 languages. She got her degree in this, and this. She's still super feminine, but where she lives, there's no opportunity. So her whole life, she's like, I want to go to Europe. I want to go to America. I want to go to the Caribbean. She want to do everything but stay home. When the one place that needs her is home. So now, even the motherland becomes, that's why it's still considered one of the poorest countries, is because the people with the biggest resources there that could tap into it is gone.
They move away.
So now, with me having so much success in America, I became the window, because a lot of them, when they talk to me, they go, this is my first time ever talking to an Igbo in America. This is my first time ever talking to a Balanta man in America. I've never talked to one before. So now, not only am I bridging the gap between these two continents, but I'm also letting them know, as one of the most successful people here, this ain't where you want to be. And I was going, whoa. But the way that it was marketed, they said this is the land of the free, home of the brave. Well, I'm telling you that they fucking lying. It's a lie. I want to be where you at. You want to come over here? Yes.
It's funny because from Canada, like I said, and when I moved here, where you from? I'm like, I'm from Canada. Why did you come here? Like, from a lot of people here. Well, not everybody, but
the majority. Yeah.
People say, why did you leave Canada to come here? Because I heard the same thing you
said. Yes.
Thought it was a great move to do to make. And then it's like we here, and now it's like, I wish I could go back, but I've been here so long. I'm literally Americanized.
How long is so long?
I've been here since '99.
Yeah, it's been long. Yeah, very long. Almost my whole lifetime. I was born in '94. So okay, to circle back. Well, okay, let me finish that last part. But yes, you're right. What America did that was smarter than everybody else is that they learned how to market before everybody else did. Now, quiet as it's kept, China, Japan, Russia, all these other places are kicking our ass in technology, but they don't know how to market to the world to tell them that. So us being in debt to everybody else really lets you know that, but there's no way for us to, no one's ever going to market their debt. So they're just marketing the modern technology as it still being number one. So I don't want to sound like that I'm putting my foot in y'all ass, but what I'm doing is I'm creating and this is important for me to say it in person because it's like what I was saying earlier, through the screen, nobody probably ever would have picked this up. That this is the language.
Yep.
Y'all see how deep it gets?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's as sick as it is what they did. As like the creative mind that I am,
Mm-hmm.
I respect the genius of it. It's evil genius.
Evil genius. Yeah.
They really did a number on a lot of people.
A lot of people.
And it's sick.
And it's still lingering.
Yeah.
For the people who don't know how America got started, let me give you guys a history lesson. The Native Americans were already here. It's in the name. Native American.
Right.
Keep that in mind, people. When Queen Elizabeth was over in England, her rule started to be shaky to the people who had different religious beliefs. That's why they have the Catholic Church and the Roman Catholic Church. For those who didn't understand, there's a distinction between the two. And this is when Christianity was also in there. That's why the three, Roman Catholic Church, and Christianity are so close in proximity, but they have three different distinctions. And in some places where they have one ruler, religion becomes everything. So when Queen Elizabeth passed and King James took over Europe, they said, we out of here. We gone. Where they gonna go? They wanted to go over to Asia, but they ended up going to the other direction. And they went over to America. And when they went to America, and they actually came over here and they started spreading their diseases to the Native Americans, and the Native Americans embraced them as welcoming people.
Yep.
They started to take over the coast first. The first states that were ever created were right over on the coast.
Yep.
Right over on the coast. And that's why when you look at an old map of America, Mexico was California. That whole side was Mexico. All of that was Mexico. And what happened was that once they started to get enough people to be like, oh, it's sweet over there, we're going to create a new government that's different from that government. And that's where, after the war happened, then the Europeans, the ones that wanted things to stay the same, came over to America to have a war with the Europeans that wanted a difference. And after that war was over, and the Europeans that came had to go back to Europe, they got exiled, and then they created the United States of America. And they did that because they no longer wanted to identify as Europeans. They wanted to identify as Americans. And so they pretty much changed their genealogy as a European to being an American. So the first Americans technically were the Native Americans, but the first ones to give it a name were the Europeans that came over here. And then they started coming more and more, and they started reproducing, and that's how it became widespread. And then the war hero from that war, who becomes the first president, George Washington. No election. He's the war hero, so they give it to him. And then they start to do a democracy. So now we have them forming, okay, how does a ballot look? What does it look like for this to happen? What does it look like for that? How do we govern this? How do we buy this? How do we take that? How do we move all the Native Americans over to reservations? Matter of fact, let's enslave them. So now, because they're coming with guns and muskets, and they have spears, we're just going to enslave the Native Americans. And then they started to die off because the diseases were incurable. So then they said, hey, there's this place right by Europe, Africa. They look just like the Native Americans, a little stronger, a little bigger though. Let's go grab them. Go over there, and we're so welcoming. Hey, what's going on? What's happening? Now they're checking out the landscape. Okay, who's the king here? Who rules here? Who this? Who that? Oh, it's sweet over here. It's sweet over here. And they start to take those people and they created what is now known as the African diaspora. Because then they take those Africans to America, and then they take these ones down to the Dominican Republic. And then what happens when they get independence? They push them over to the poorer side, and what do they call it? Haiti. So now we got people who think that they're Haitian, even though they're of the African diaspora of Africa. And then they take these other ones and they bring them down over here, and they call that Jamaica. And then they bring these other ones down here, and they call that Brazil. So now we go everywhere. The ones in America, we get the most confused because when Jim Crow and all of that stuff ended, it was a financial decision, not a moral decision. So they decided, well, these black people, they create culture. We can't do shit without them being here. So let's give them this project building. We're going to own the building, but we're going to make rent super cheap, and they can live here. They're going to be on the worst side of town, and we're going to be over here. I don't know about y'all, but I've driven in Decatur on this side, and I've driven in Decatur on this side. And it's a big difference. And they did it on purpose. So then they give us little crumbs of freedom. And then we take it as, wow, we're being accepted here. This is acceptance. And while we're getting that acceptance, they put a few people like Jackie Robinson, Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, put them on TV, showcase them to the rest of the world, and show them that we're not a racist place. Show them that you can make a lot of money here. Show a picture of Vigilante driving his Mustang, and show that to the Canadians. Show that to the Africans.
Yep.
Show that to the Asians. One thing happened, I don't know if it was last year or this year, that fucked the entire world's head up. And it was when Space Baby, the black dude, went to Bangkok, and he got on that balcony, and he said, America lied to y'all. I pay $700 for this penthouse that I live in right here. I pay $2 for my gas bill, pay $1 for my light bill, pay $10 for every American in the world at the same time. Went like this. I pay $2,000 for this square box that I live in. Ain't even my dream house. I drive this car right here. Don't even want to, but have to because of the circumstances. I'm bullied into having car insurance that I can't even afford. My healthcare sucks. The educational system sucks. I can barely even buy clothes. The women here aren't feminine anymore. What the fuck?
It's like they just fucked us on every level.
They fucked us on every level and then trapped us in it.
Yep.
And then they continue to show us that they don't care about the fact that we're trapped in. I know this is a long rant, y'all, but I got to get this out.
Get it out.
The fucked up part is, after that video came out, America could have put out something to say, okay, we're going to do something to compete with that. They didn't. The same $2,000, $3,000 that people are paying a month for them to be able to live, bare minimum, is still that. So they're telling you right to your face, I don't give a fuck. Get your ass back to work so that you can afford to pay me to live in my shit, or you're going to be homeless. And I'm saying to you, fuck you. I can just get the fuck on. If there's one thing about me, I've never been good at getting bullied. I told my mom the other day, I said, I've never been a bitch ass nigga before. I don't know how that feels. So when America looks at me and tries to put me in the box of me possibly being a bitch ass nigga, I have to remind them that I don't know what that's like. You got me on the accent. You got me on that one. I was born into that.
Yep.
You got me on being born into America. Cool, I can take that. But for the next 60, 70 years that I have left on this earth, I own that. Because I realized the ownership that you had before. So that's why, to come full circle on everything I'm saying, that I want to hold our African American people, and everybody, but mostly our African American people, because we've been at the bottom for so long, more accountable to at least see. Just see. Just spark some conversation between your family, even if you don't get a kid. And to just show a little bit more interest, because you building that community, it's always going to be hard because you don't know 100% who you are. So when people look at you, they don't know how to identify with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're a Native American, an African is going to look at you in a detached way. And I tell my Africans all the time, when you come over here, be prepared for you not to have a warm welcome, and be prepared for the black people that you talk to not have any sense of self.
Yeah.
In abundance. So when you ask them what tribe you from, they're looking at you like, what the fuck are you talking about? But this is like this is Mary Kate and Ashley. We're sisters, we're brothers.
Mm-hmm.
This twin gets taken over here, this twin gets taken over here, and now when they come back to each other, they don't know each other at all. It's like, who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you?
And think also that one is better than the other.
And then the hierarchy. The hierarchy.
And that's why this community building path that I've been on has been so difficult, because honestly, I shouldn't have to do it. I should not have to manufacture community.
Right.
We should be born into our tribe. We should be born knowing what community feels like, because we are already around our people.
Yeah.
We live in a world where it's so many people scattered and moved around this planet, and we're so far removed from our true ancestors, and we're so mixed now because there's no full blood anything anymore. Everybody's mixed.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's where the identity issues come.
Yeah.
And now you can't reverse what's happened.
Yeah, it's there.
It's happened.
Yeah.
So now it's like, I feel like I was in a position, or I'm saying was, because recently I don't want to say I gave up on the community building thing, but I gave up
the particular strategy,
the obligation that I felt to build some type of world community, because that's where we're at now. We have to get past the judgments when you see somebody that's from a certain land or looks a certain way, because now you can't even look at a person and tell where they're from or who they are.
Yeah.
So now you literally have to look at everybody as we all in this shit together. We all lost.
Yeah.
We all displaced. We all colonized. We all don't know who the fuck we come from. We all got broken families. We all we in this shit together. So that's been like my mission for the longest, since a young teen, is literally bringing the world together.
Yeah.
And I looked at the internet and social media, even before social media. The internet is the tool where we can communicate with the world.
Instantly.
And this is the thing that everybody's on every day.
Yeah.
So I've always been pushing that message for people to love each other, understand somebody that doesn't look like you. But I appreciate what you're saying, because everybody has that desire to want to know who they are, who they come from. If you don't really know that, it's something missing in you.
So it's a closed chakra.
Yeah, it's like, in order to love somebody else and know somebody else, you got to love and know yourself first.
I know.
If you don't fully know who you are, then you trying to figure that out while you trying to connect with other people. And it just creates that
weird disconnect.
Never-ending disconnect.
Yeah.
Because people don't have a genuine respect for anything, because they're not born in a community of respect.
The watering down has
Yeah.
officially become 100% diluted.
Yeah.
The other day, my mom was in Chicago, and I told her those beads that I bought from Nigeria, which some Nigerian women authentically made them for me when I went on AliExpress. I sent her the picture and said, "Can you make these for me?" And she said yes, and she did, and I bought them from her. And I've been helping to keep her in college with me buying stuff from her and creating an ecosystem with that. And I helped connect her to a shop that was here in America, and then they became her vendor. So now she makes stuff for them and sells it wholesale, and whatever she sells to them, I buy it from them to make sure that it keeps circulating. And when I bought those beads, I bought those because those were the beads that the kings in our tribe wore. And my mom was in Chicago, and there was a guy that was from Ghana, and my mom showed him the picture of those beads, and she FaceTimed me. And when she FaceTimed me, the dude was like, oh my God, everybody gonna think you're a king. Where did you get those beads from? Oh my God. And I said, Mom, do you see his level of excitement? And she said, yes. I said, this is what being not watered down looks like. Because there's a hierarchy of which we used to be looked at in a certain light that we no longer have it anymore. So when I walk around with those beads in America, because of our watering down, regardless of whether I was a king from Africa or not, nobody would give a fuck. So we have to go back to a place where people do care and respect that hierarchy because that's our sense of identity. If I'm King Bidge and you don't look, it's like Coming to America. When he came here as the king and then he was mopping the floors to get old girls' attention.
Yeah.
So I know that has a different narrative to it, but it's kind of the same feel when you come here. And when we were at Christmas, I was with my mom. And when you do your African ancestry, you do Patriclan and Matriclan, Patriclan. Matriclan is your mom's mom. Patriclan is your dad's. So I got all the way back. So I essentially paid that $300 for my mom and for my sisters. I didn't do it on purpose. And if I did know it was for them, I wouldn't have did it. But it was for me. But it helped them inadvertently. So when I did it, this magnet company had just offered to sponsor me. And I took the magnets and I put pictures of myself and my DNA results and I put them on my mom's refrigerator for Christmas, and along with the certificate for our results. And I was having a conversation with my mom about this, and she said, yeah, I mean, I looked at the results and, I was just like, kind of like, And I said, Mom, what you don't understand is that you are a product of it working. When they ripped your ancestors from their homeland and they beat the men and they molested the women and they hung the man and they stripped our heritage from us and they did everything that they did to us in Jim Crow and they did that in segregation and all of that. It was for you to understand what you are and have the opportunity to do something about it and go, That's what it was for. I'm your seed. So if you feel like, then you create a platform for me to go, and then you create another one for my daughter and my son in the future to go, So then we create modern day generational slaves.
Yeah.
Which we're already there.
And our only way out, did you see the video I did about the reparations? You didn't? The only way that black people will ever get reparations is if all of us say,
Yeah.
all at once.
Yep.
And you know the thing that you hear a lot is, well, y'all complain so much about America. Why don't y'all not gonna leave? That's because that's the thing. Everybody be pretty aware of what's going on. Like, we live in a very informative age where a lot of people got access to information, and I'm noticing the consciousness of the collective is rising. People are understanding what we in. So now it's like, okay, y'all keep talking, y'all know what's going on, y'all not gonna leave though. So that's the next step, is if you do understand what's going on and you notice it's some fucked up shit, what are you gonna do now?
What are you gonna do now? And that's why I'm guinea pigging myself in front of everybody. I just did a video about how to get your passport. I've done every single test and I've said, okay, this is how much this one costs. This is the results I got. This is how much this one costs. This is the results I got. Because I no longer want people to look at me as that vigilante persona anymore. We don't have to do that. That was something that I was probably protecting my African self from my American surroundings. But it's okay for Marcus to tap in with his people and for us to have this closeness to where I can just give you the information.
Yeah.
We're supposed to privilege each other because we come from the same place. And I noticed that when my people started to privilege me, on AliExpress, those beads were $200. The woman made those for me for $35. And the reason she did that, another reason, is because Africa as a whole is still a poor continent where the average income is $50 a month. So for somebody like myself to come from such a treacherous lineage, I also come from the Mende people, for those who have seen the Amistad story, where they were illegally taken as well. So my lineage and my blood is very It has a treacherous one on this side, but then you have the Vigilante people on this side, which Vigilante means people who resist, and the crew people who refused to be taken into captivity, and then the Vigilante people who refused to be taken into captivity, and then the Amistad people who took over the ship, and the Ebu Landing who took over the ship. I come from a rebellious lineage, and that's why it took no time. When I got my results and I seen it, oh, I'm out. Next, see, I'm gone. Because I can't identify here. Georgia was named after a British man named George.
Yeah.
So as long as I'm on George's land and I'm not on vigilante estates for my children and for their children and for their children, then I just sound like a motherfucking dude in a suit with a bean pie on the side of the road trying to give you some information while I'm still on the fucking land.
Yeah.
And I want to showcase it from every hierarchy. The average man that's working at McDonald's, you can do this too. The guy like myself who made it to the plateau, you can do it. The blue collar guy that's behind the desk, you can do it. The stay-at-home mom, you can do it. Because what I don't want is the excuse of just because I have the money to do so, that's the reason I'm doing it. That's not the truth. Mm-hmm. This exists on every level. And honestly, when you start doing your test, it's not even going to become about money anymore, because when your tribe reaches out to you, and when your tribe reaches out to you, it'd be crazy if it ends up being some of the same tribes. Your heart is going to melt to your feet, and your feet just going to start moving. I'm telling you, it happens every time. African Ancestry as a company does this thing called live reveal. They call it reveal day. Whenever somebody figures out what they are on that live reveal, the first thing that they do is cry. The second thing that they do is say, when is the next trip? Because they have something called family reunion. Sierra Leone was the first place I was going to get citizenship, because it was the first place in Africa offering dual citizenship. And they have a trip every May, and they have a trip every December. And I'm going to be going this December to do my name change and to do the first draft of my paperwork. It used to be one trip, and then you would have citizenship. Now you got to do two. So while I'm getting my citizenship in Guinea-Bissau, which is right next door, then I'm also going to be doing my citizenship in Sierra Leone at the same time. And this is important because Guinea-Bissau is right next to the Gambia. What's important about the Gambia? That's where Kunta Kinte is from. But what story is told to us about Kunta Kinte? And how do we see him in his Americanized version of who he is? Kunta Kinte was a warrior from the Mandinka tribe. What's important about the Mandinka tribe? It's a spinoff of the Mali Empire. What's important about the Mali Empire? That's where Mansa Musa came from. Who is that? The richest man that ever walked the face of the earth. Mansa Musa? Yeah, so Mansa is like Mansa Musa is pretty much another way of saying king, pharaoh, God, like that. And Musa was just his name. But yeah, if you guys chat GPT on your phone right now, who's the richest man that ever walked the face of the earth? Mansa Musa, African.
The first time I've heard that name is through Daylight.
The battle rap, yeah.
Because he deep into all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how he uses his battle rap platform. A lot of times they think rappers are dumb, but he deep. So I think he had created a shoe and named it after
Mansa Musa.
And he'll wear I've seen him wear sweatshirts that'll say "Make America Aboriginal Again," shit like that. So there's little hidden messages where people here in America they know this shit is fucked up.
Yeah,
our people know like we're not loved here. Like we're not embraced
at all.
We can't take pride in being
American, yeah,
of the United States.
Yeah,
when you know the history of like what the fuck they did to
what happened.
How could you? And then you got people that are patriotic that'll look down on people like us that can't take pride, and they're like, well, you benefit from being in America, and it's like we didn't choose to be born here into this shit. Everybody got to go on their own journey, and you grow up and you learn and you acquire knowledge through experience and through reading and seeing things and researching things, and that's one thing I respect a lot about you. And this is a quality that I don't have my whole life. Like, I'm not a seeker of knowledge. I don't do a lot of reading. I don't take a lot of interest in knowing a lot of stuff because I've been so heavily consumed in my own creativity and just wanting to create from scratch and connect with people. That's
Right.
it. That's create and connect. I always say those are the two things I do. That's the things that bring me purpose. So I connect with where I'm at, and I don't really spend a lot of time researching history or looking backwards or digging backwards because I'm just looking forward. Or this is where we at. So I have a general understanding of what happened, but it's good to meet people like you because this is how I learn.
Mm-hmm.
I learn through listening to what other people have learned. That's kind of like instead of reading, I'm listening to people talk about what they've read or what they've researched.
So
yeah.
So book.
Mm-hmm. And this is the importance of what you said of sharing information,
Yeah.
which a lot of people don't.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
yeah, and I agree with you. I agree with you saying. I've always been more of an audio book person than a text person too.
mm-hmm.
And I think what it was when me moving my brand into the next direction. While I'm saying this, I want you to Google right now who's the richest man to ever live, and then you tell me the answer. Because my brand had to move in another direction because I started to merge away from the industry. I always gonna have industry ties and be able to step over there whenever I want to. But because I'm about to step into this new realm of living in Africa, I don't want to bring my American indoctrination over there.
Yeah.
I want my brand to now be centered around the core, the nucleus, to be centered around me returning back home and how powerful that is and what that looks like. So that sparked me to have to get the knowledge. So I'll just sit my phone up and be like, ChatGPT, tell me about this tribe. And you know who loves that the most? That tribe. Because they know that I care. No, what did you say? Read it for me.
All right. Widely considered the richest person to ever live, Mensa, the 14th century emperor of Mali.
Yeah.
After fortune estimated at around 400 billion, adjusted for inflation, due to his empire's control of gold and salt.
Yeah.
So when you look at Elon Musk and you look at Trump and you look at how much money they have, we have people on our team that will make them look poor.
Yeah.
But he operated on his land and he tapped into the gold and he tapped into the land structure and he expanded his empire to where he could have that type of wealth. Of course, he probably didn't have all that money just in one place, just sitting there.
Right.
But it's all equity and worth of what his reign was. So I look at you as a very special and very particular individual within this community, the same way I look at 19 Keys and Dr. Umar and the other free thinkers and leaders. And I want you to get the proper appreciation that you deserve for being so. And I honestly feel like that myself and yourself, another thing that we have in common is that on this land, that's never going to be something that we achieve. So I'm kind of happy. Well, I may not say happy, but I'm happy that you came to the realization that in this space, the community that you're trying to build is going to be like a rut.
Yeah.
It's going to be a rut. Because as soon as you, and this is my challenge to both of y'all, too, as a couple, when y'all do y'all first test and y'all get the results for those tests, that's the community that I want you to reconnect to. Because it's not going to be you having to build that community. It's going to be you rejoining the community that's already there. And to me, that's going to make you feel way better. Is joining your tribe.
Yeah.
And then seeing the surrounding tribes and then learning about them and then their surrounding tribes. And then by then, you're going to know about this whole country. And then after that, you're going to get this one. Just this morning, there was a post that went up that said Liberia and Sierra Leone are conjoining. I can't tell you the last time that something like that happened. That'd be like Ohio and Michigan conjoining. And with me being from Crew people of Liberia and Mene Temne of Sierra Leone, with them being right next door, If I would have gotten my citizenship from Sierra Leone last year, that would have grandfathered me into being a citizen of Liberia. So now my empire that I have, let's say that I'm worth $2 billion here, now it expands here. So I become a $10 billion richer just from that move in the government. And if I'm that wealthy, then I can move like how Elon Musk moves here, adjacent to the government. So where I can go, yeah, there's some land over there. I'm about to build a park. Cool. Do your thing. All right. Y'all move in with the trucks. Let's go. If I don't have that type of power to be able to get, this is where my Kanye side comes out. If I can't get my creative thoughts out in that way, then I go crazy. Or I just shut down. But when I'm there, I know they're going to appreciate not only my extensive knowledge of living in America, but also my desire to reconnect as well and putting them together. Because we can't change the history.
Yep.
I can wish that I was born there and wish that I was raised in the community all I want. It's not what happened. So now I have to take the good with the bad and have a better ending so that when my daughter and my son comes to this earth, they can learn 5 languages. And they can know how to count pounds, yens, leons, CDs, USD. They're so fucking arrogant here that we only know how to count American money. Which is why I did that video of me showing that money that I had with all of that different Nigerian money and pounds and all that stuff in there, because I wanted to show people, let's get out of this arrogance. You don't have to be like this. Everybody else in every other country is extremely smarter than us, not because they're smarter than us, but because they tapped into being open to other people's cultures. The American dollar is accepted everywhere, and it's the weakest in America, but it's the strongest everywhere else.
Right. Yep.
And nobody else's currency is accepted in America. Everybody else's money look like monopoly money does.
Yep.
That's arrogance.
It is.
I mean, I know firsthand.
The little Canadian dollar won't do nothing for it down here. You can give me the rest of it too if you got to know you. But,
Yo, I think that word arrogance, like, that shit is deep. I'm looking at it on multiple levels because I'm looking at the whole range of this conversation. And remember how I was touching on before I met you, it's like looking at you from afar, it's this arrogance about you that makes a person perceive you to not have anything of like real substance. But through this whole conversation, I'm seeing you in a whole nother light. I'm seeing the human. I'm seeing that like you just learned how to play this American game very well. And it's almost, you got to become arrogant. You got to become, like, you know how you said how your dad was a gangster and you applied that energy to the industry. It makes me see what you do in a different light, and I respect the fuck out of that.
Thank you.
It's survival skills. It's fearless. Like, you fearless with it. I know what fearlessness looks like. You have it. And you take command of your life. You do what you want. You set your schedule. You do what you want.
Now it's starting to make sense to you now.
Yeah,
it's starting to make sense now.
I get it. I get it. I got a whole lot of respect for you, bro. And the way you're breaking down like this deeper purpose that you're on now that you've acquired the monetary success and playing this American game. You're not okay with just that, because it's a lot of people that's just okay with that. I got money, I got the status, I got the women, I got the car, I got the place. That's it. But those people are miserable. A lot of those people, they come to find fame and all that shit. Like, it really doesn't matter. So that's why I always went against that path, because it doesn't matter to me. I really don't care about money. I don't care about fame. So in me fighting against that, that's why when I was looking at you, there was a level of like insecurity in myself, because you decided to play the game well. I didn't decide to play the game well.
Right.
But in order to help your people, if you are a community mind like myself, you start to learn, I need some resources to really be able to help people the way I want. As much as we don't care about the money, we live in a world where that dollar matters. It is the thing that you need to really change people's lives. So I can touch you on a social level easy. I make friends very well. I know how to deal with people. I know how to bring the love out of people. But from there, you have to address the economic issues because that's a lot of what fucks up my communities. Yeah, we all cool and we friends, but a lot of the people that want to be that, they really poor. They don't have a lot. And with the poor mentality comes the moves are fucked up. How you gonna be an honorable person? You're poor. You're constantly in a space where you need stuff, but then you don't have. So you have to manipulate, and you gotta like. You can't really be a solid person because you ain't even taking care of yourself. So I used to look at people like you and be like, man, you don't care about people. You just want your own money and da 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 da. But now I've grown to realize you can trust that person more than you can trust the person that's trying to help everybody, and you poor, but you trying to paint yourself to be a good person, but you don't even have anything to really offer anybody, including yourself. So how good of a person are you if you're not even taking care of yourself? And what community can we build full of poor people, full of struggle-minded people?
Yeah.
So then it made me assess myself. I wasted. Nah, I ain't gonna say waste. Nothing's a waste. But it is a waste to continue to try and do that, to try and build community with people that are poor and struggling, and they don't love themselves, they don't know themselves, they don't even believe they can do more than what they have become accustomed to. So now it's like you're stuck in the hood mentality or the poor mentality. And when I try to speak life into these people and make them believe that they're more than that, they don't believe it. These people are now in their 30s and up.
They don't have nothing to cling to, like a monkey branch that can validate what it is that you're saying. One, and then two, and being in that survival mode in America, everybody being in that survival mode. Even when you watch movies like The Django, there's a scene in there where the slave master calls two guys in there to wrestle for his entertainment. And when he sees one guy getting the best of another guy, he throws a hammer in there. And then the guy uses a hammer to kill the other person. And for his entertainment, and as a celebration, he gives him a drink. And I think he gives him the day off as a slave. And the dude is like, all right, I did what I got to do. So now he probably going back to the plantation like, shit, I'll kill all these motherfuckers for my freedom. And they looking at him like, damn, you a slave just like us.
Right.
And so now we start, that's where we get the supervisor, the manager, the woman with the good desk job mentality from. And that indoctrination then comes from that right there. And with me, I've just decided that the best game in the world to play is not to play the game at all. And because once you do gain these things, monetary things, it comes with a certain level of attention. As you can see from this whole conversation, I've always wanted the resources, but I never wanted the attention that came with it, and especially the unsolicited opinions of attention. So when I got the resources, what I figured out that comes with it is a certain financial responsibility to keep it up.
Yep.
So now the people are listening to me, but then when I tap into my humanitarian side and I want to give certain things up, it's like, well, are you giving that up because you lost it? Or are you giving that up because you truly don't want it anymore? So now with me going to Africa, that is literally me forcing everybody's hand to believe from a spiritual aspect that I'm giving it up for this. And this is the tangible proof of it. Rather than it me just saying, I'm going to just give it up here while I can still have it here. Because then it's going to look like I just lost the game, if that makes sense. And in order for me to lead, I figured out a long time ago, when you have resources, what it does is it opens certain doors and it makes certain conversations go by quicker. Because you would just be like, it's like if she's out on a date with a dude and the bill comes up to $40. If he don't have the money, they got to go back and wash dishes, They have to look at each other in a certain way, like, well, why you ain't paying? Well, why you ain't paying? They gotta maneuver alternative ways. She gotta watch him go into every single pocket. It's just a big thing for no reason. But if he just has the $40, or if she just has the $40, you just pay and keep it moving.
Yeah.
It's quick.
Yeah.
It's a simple process. So it's the same thing with us in our community as a whole. There's 13 million of us here in America, and every time that they say black and brown people or minorities, whichever one they choose to call us, we always look at them like, because black people always find a way to get around other black people. So to us, it's like that we're everywhere.
Right.
Motherfucker, you're not listening to what they're saying at all. 13 million minority. So how many people, how many other races do you think there is if they keep calling you a minority and it's 13 million of you? Now those numbers are big enough for just 1 million, 2 million, 3 million to go back. And that's just America. That's not including the Haiti diaspora, the Jamaican diaspora, any of the other diasporas. To go back and to build and to take our money in America that is not made anywhere else. We have the highest salaries and we have the most monetary ways that we can spend it. We understand infrastructure. We don't understand how to build it, but we understand what it looks like in its final stages. You come here into America, everything's done. You go to any other country, you kind of trying to figure out what is this going to be if our vision comes into fruition. And we built the pyramids. We paved all the streets here. We did all the agricultural cropping. And once all of that was done, they did everything to possibly wipe our brains for the fact that we're the ones who did that. What the fuck was the slaves doing on the plantation? Besides just singing. They were farming. So why the fuck do we not know how to farm?
Yeah.
A lot of us.
So I'm assuming, and it is an assumption, that our people back home still know how to farm. They just don't have the economical structure to be able to make their farming global so they can become rich farmers. So we can build the next Kroger, Walmart, but do it without the capitalistic society. We're not going to FDA approve bullshit because that's not our culture to do that to each other. So that's why it's so important for me to be back surrounded by my culture, because there's a lot of cleansing and shedding of my skin that I need to do in order for me to get back to the root of who I am as a person. And I'm going to do it in front of everybody to show them, because it's just me being arrogant again. Everything I do is cool. So I'm showing them it's cool to be this vulnerable. It's cool to say you don't know who you are. It's cool to have the white man on your passport and have a problem with that. It's cool for you to reconnect with your people and go, I would rather be there. It's cool for you to say, damn, I wish that I was raised over there, but I'm not. It's cool for you to admit that you have a British accent. It's cool. It's cool for you to play the game and to get wealthy and for you to be able to make moves and maneuver. And it's cool for you to do the Jesus Christ approach and be the richest being ever and be a humanitarian in that.
That's funny because we talked about that kind of yesterday when we were talking about not wanting to go the industrial route, but you wanting to go the humanitarian route. And I think I kind of said, well, you can do both.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that he does.
That's
That's been my process, is trying to make the money while still doing the humanitarian thing.
No, you keep going. I'm still listening. Yeah, I'm just balancing this. You keep going.
We still recording?
Yeah, we still going.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we still going.
Yes, and yeah, so that's what it sounds like to me, pretty much.
It's like we're monetizing all the shit that doesn't hold any real value. So my goal has been to change the way we move money and what type of things do we reward. So I've been on a mission to make the humanitarian shit the thing that can make somebody rich.
Yeah.
Monetize the thing that has heart in it. monetize the person that cares about humans. It's too much of a thing where we think if you care about humans, then you got to be poor.
Right.
You can't do it for the money.
Right.
If you're doing something for the money, then you definitely not for the people. What kind of sense that make?
Exactly.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I get exactly what you're saying. It's almost like that, the American hippie aesthetic. So where it's like, yeah, man, let's just give all of this up and let's just live off the land. And it's like, but where's your farm at?
Yeah.
I can't live off the land if you ain't got no farm.
Yeah.
We got to make it make sense for everybody.
It's like, why can't you have a heart and have money?
And have money.
You can have
Yes.
both.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like there's beauty in the
Because
struggle.
you still have to be a good, honorable person. Like, you have to do good business
Yes.
in order to make money.
Yes.
Yes. It's not like they make it seem like anybody with money is just cruel as fuck. Yes, there are cruel business people.
Yeah.
There are business people that get over on people and don't tell the truth in their deals and get paid and run off on people they don't honor their word. But there's also poor people, and me and my lady have personally met some of these people through my community. They'll be presenting the image and the energy of a humanitarian, somebody who cares about the people, and they usually be the poorest of the poor. So it makes it more believable. Like, oh, you must be for the people because you don't have a lot, so you must sacrifice yourself a lot, and we think that's a good thing.
I can see how that could go in.
But then those people, I've had to learn, those be some of the most shiesty people too, because everybody has survival instinct. So if you're giving of yourself and you giving this humanitarian shit, it's a lot of people use that shit as a scam.
Facts.
They use the poor humanitarian shit as a scam to come off a certain way because they know, oh, if I present myself as a person that's humane, and they also use God and religion as a scam because if you put the word God on everything, oh, you really must be good. So then now, okay, if that person come to you and say, oh, I need this, I need a few bucks to do this or that. Oh, I'm gonna help you because I think you're a good person. You're a good person, and I know your heart, and I know you're struggling. Here you go. It's a scam. It's scams on every level. It's poor scammers, middle class scammers, rich scammers.
Yeah.
It's about who you are.
So
So
that's a great point too, because when they did the Sierra Leone thing, they stopped the program for like a year when I was about to do my trip, and when they made it 2 trips, it was an economic decision. And I had to make a video to the Sierra Leone government because freedom of speech is an American thing. That's not worldwide. So I made a video to them and I said, listen, money here looks way different than money there. So if you make this about business, people will stop coming because we're going back to connect at the root. So if you make this a business, you're going to turn this into a spectacle on yourself, because then you're going to eliminate the holistic aspects of what we're doing to reconnect. I'm spending money not because I give a fuck to travel. I can travel anywhere else. I could just go to Dubai. I could go to the same penthouse building that the dude in Thailand was at for $700 for the rest of my life. I'm trying to take that and put it over here with y'all. But we can only do that if you keep the humanitarian aspect in the forefront. So don't become corrupt because the people who colonized you were corrupt. And you see what their economics is doing, but it's fucked up. And that's why it's so important for myself to go over there and say it, because then they'll see me with the other politicians here, like Stacey Abrams and the other commissioners and shit, and they go, oh, okay, well, he has done in politics before. Right, and I did it all while not being a politician. And I also did it in an African attire, where I'm sitting next to another black person, but I have on an African suit, and they have on a suit and tie, which is Eurocentric. So you can see that I'm trying to connect the dots, not only here, but also there too. And I'm doing it through symbolism. But what I'm symboling to you is that our way has always worked. We were just fine before our colonizers came and said, hey, I have a better way for you. No, thank you.
Right.
We're fine.
And been fine.
And we would still have just been fine this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have right now to be fine again. But don't ruin what everybody is coming back to do by trying to make it so business oriented, because then you become no better. Just like the same way when they left King James over here to come down here to create something better, they created some other fucked up shit. So let's be the example to the world of not creating other fucked up shit.
Somebody gotta start that,
What direction you want to go in next? Or do y'all gotta go?
What time?
It's 1:30.
No, I mean,
You got time?
yeah. How long were you planning?
It don't matter to me. I did a 10-hour episode with my homegirl like 3 months ago.
Shit.
So we get, and people been watching the whole 10 hours.
Okay.
I told you before this started, I said, yeah, this is gonna be a long one, because we got a lot to touch on. Oh, you know what?
Yeah, I'm feeding off of whatever you really wanted to talk about.
I really wanted to go in this direction right here. What tools do you think that your parents should have equipped you with before you moved out? Specifically.
Basic things like understanding like the money, finances, bills, credit. My dad did teach me things about cars, but there was still stuff that I hadn't actually done and didn't have a really good knowledge of, like changing a tire or he gets kind of mad when I say that because he actually has done it in front of me, but I never did it.
Okay.
So my dad is more of like a look at what I do, soak it in.
Yeah.
Not really a hands-on teacher, which I can't fault him for that because everybody's not a teacher.
That's just his method.
It's his method, so he taught the way he taught. Yeah, I guess just basic life skills because I'm thinking about life. It's really not that complex when you look at what you need to do to survive here. It's just pay bills, work a job, if you have to work a job. I had never worked a job when I was living at home, so yeah, I mean just money. Like I guess instilling responsibility at home that would make me understand that you're not gonna have it this good when you get out there. So instead of allowing me to get over for free and just be creative, okay, let me be creative at home, but give me responsibility to do things for the home. Like once I got out of school and I was there just doing my thing, okay, I need you to go be responsible for getting this and bringing it back here. Or you're gonna have to pay this bill now, or because I wasn't even paying my own phone bill until 30, but right before I moved out. So I remember how that felt, and we talked about that on one of our intimate combos, and she was asking me about just moving out at the age that I did. So there's little things like that is just instilling responsibility, because all that shit hit me at once when I moved out.
Yeah. And with the baby.
With the baby, yeah.
With the baby. That was a lot.
Whole lot.
So what I gathered from my 30 years of experience is that there are two circumstances of which you should move out of your parents' house. Two circumstances. One, you get a full ride college acceptance letter. Two, you get a pre-approval letter for you to buy your first property. Those are the two circumstances. If you move out 9 times out of 10 under any other circumstances, you're gonna struggle. And when you start to struggle, I don't know if this is just an American thing, but I'm gonna just say the economic labor society is going to grab you and they're gonna have you by the balls. Because now you have a lease, a car note, car insurance, this, that, this, and then it drags you away from your family roots so that you can exist in a monetary world. And then you can try to get ahead in that monetary world. So the resentment that I initially built up when I first moved out was my mom, where I'm moving from Okay, so the first house that she bought was in 2005. She had a Habitat house that Jimmy Carter, he did a project, and she used her sweat equity as her down payment. She helped build the house. And the neighborhood that we lived in Benton Harbor was so bad that the complex across the street was being torn down and everybody was being relocated because it was so bad. And they tore that down and built a whole new community and then built a new community of the houses that we had. And my mom ended up selling that house, and then we moved to Georgia. When we moved to Georgia, after rent, they bought a home for like $280, and then they sold it 3 years later for close to $5, and they got divorced. So then they had to pay for the divorce. So the money that they got to do that got split down the middle, and then expenses got split on both sides. So then they both ended up back in apartments. And I don't think that parents understand that this slave labor that we have modern day starts from the top down. What should have happened was that each year, because if you go from 280 to 400,000, that means that you are acquiring a large amount of equity and appreciation per year. So what should have happened was, as we were all living in the house, one by one, we should have all snatched a piece of that equity and used it as a down payment for us to start our real estate lineage. If you have 5 houses and all of them are worth $200,000, how much money do y'all have as a family? You just became a millionaire family. All from, not from what you have in your pocket, but just real estate lineage. And everybody's house is appreciating year after year after year. Now you guys have leverage to do whatever you want to do, but you have to start off on the right foot.
That's that unity thing that's lacking, even within our own family. It's like not doing things in the building and growing together and staying together to grow together. Everybody just goes their separate ways. Everybody just
that's that capitalism.
dispersed, and that's it. Yeah.
When you came here from Canada, your family came too?
My mom and my brother. My dad decided to stay in Canada.
Okay. He's still there now?
He's still in Canada, yeah.
And your mom's and your brother's
Florida.
still here?
Well, my mom is in Florida still. My brother's in Japan.
In Japan?
Yes.
Okay. How long you been in Japan?
Oh, it's been 4 years now.
4 years?
Yeah.
How's he like it?
He loves it.
Okay.
That's just been his dream since we were kids.
So you see my point again? He over there. He over there with them Japanese women?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, hey, have I lied about anything since I've been talking this whole time? And then yeah, he got that fresh air 4 years ago, and he has he visited?
No. He does not want to. He doesn't want to come back here. He said if he leaves Japan, he'll go to another country.
He goes to another country.
Back to Canada or something.
Yeah. What's I'm about to go next with that? So yeah, when you leave the house, and then just we're gonna start with the man side. As a man, I think that there should be a conversation that is held from dad to son, and then also if mom wants to have it too, she can be present, but this is more of a masculine conversation of how you show up for the world, how you show up for yourself, and how you show up for your family. And them being in 3 different boxes. Because sometimes when a person gives you the talk on how you show up for your family, you forget that you still have a life to yourself. That's why I don't like it when people say when you're in a relationship, you become one. You become parallel. You still have 2 separate lives that you live that are right next to each other. And then you have moments where you have to act as one because it's more convenient for there to be a unified decision. And I think that that's another one. When we talk about black love and struggle love, they always talk about, you don't know what grandma and grandpa had to go through because it was this. Well, grandma and grandpa was toxic as hell.
Right.
Why don't we ever admit that part?
Yeah, it's like you just want to automatically respect 2 people for staying together because they decided to stay together.
Yeah.
Okay, you could have stayed in some bullshit.
Yeah, that was some bullshit. That's what I'm hearing.
And then they like the old school mentality will look at these new school dynamics and be like, man, y'all just give up on love.
Yeah.
That ain't no damn love.
Yeah.
I
don't
we
even know
just-
what word to use.
We
Right.
just not tolerating the bullshit and
Mhm.
trying to fit into this mold so that other people can look at us a certain way. And I just think people now are more fearless in doing what we know we need to do for ourselves and not trying to fit society's expectation of what we should do once we are in a relationship, or especially when you get married, or when you have children with a person. We're sacrificing the public image of what we're doing, and we doing what we know we need to do to create a better situation for ourselves. And I always say, if it's better for you, it's going to be better for all parties
Right.
involved, because how the fuck are you gonna serve the people around you if you not full?
Right. And that's why
Suffering.
that's why I get on the man first about it, because as the head of the household, you create the ecosystem and the dynamic of what stuff is going to be like. Anytime I have a couple in the room, I always look at how they interact with each other and how they talk to each other. I was with my homie the other day. He was with his girl, and he was kind of tiptoeing around the stuff that he was saying to her. And I told him in front of her, I said, hey, listen, man, if you're going to be the head of the household, you just going to need to say what you got to say.
Right.
This right in front of her, and it's like, I can't believe that you can't believe that I'm saying it right in
That's
front
the
of her.
worst thing to witness, is a man that can't be his full self around his lady.
Around this lady, yeah.
Why are you with a woman that you can't be your full self around? And I know how that feels.
They're trying to keep her.
I've been with women that I wanted really bad, and it became, the pattern was appeasing her,
Yeah.
doing what would make her feel good, even if it goes against who I am.
Yeah.
And then already being a naturally passive type person and people pleaser, which I've had to shed that over the years.
Yeah.
It's just a recipe for disaster.
You did get to see it firsthand, because she was doing concessions on you, your baby mom, when you would come and she would be like, no, don't say that. No,
Yeah.
hold her like this. No, do this. No, don't play that type of music. No, don't talk like that. Those are concessions. And every time that, I know you were in a peculiar situation, so I grade yours on the curve. That was a super peculiar situation. But I know some dudes who have, like, what they would call just a traditional way start to life.
Yeah.
And they still end up in that concession, even with no kid. They still end up in that concession.
Yes.
And I think that what a lot of women also don't know is that most men out here don't have an abundance of options. The two women that they talk to, the one that kind of like them a little bit and the one that they chasing crazy, is like, that's what they got.
Yeah.
Until they might get a like every month on a dating app that might turn into something. And I've always been the wrong person to talk to about that, because when I got into movies, the whole world opened up to me. Now, that don't mean that these became a bunch of great options, but it just means that I got to see everything from every side now. Now I get to see every ethnicity, I get to see every age group, I get to see the wholesome woman, the stripper woman, the OnlyFans woman, the job, the college girl, I got a boyfriend girl, I got to see everything now. So now I'm operating from a place of abundance with a bunch of women, but now I'm elevated. So now I'm just hyper eliminating. I walk into a room now, it's 100 women in there. I'm like, okay, if you got kids, you can go. If you have ever done OnlyFans, you can go. If you have trauma that you haven't worked through, you can go. If you have any abusive stories from the past that you have not seek therapy, you can go. If you don't believe in therapy, you can go. If you're not on your holistic practices, you can go. If you've ever had a threesome with two dudes, you can go. So now when I look at the room, now it's 3 women in there. And it's like, oh my God, when did we get to a place where you can eliminate that many people just from shit that they should have never even done in the first place? But then I also have to realize that that's here. That's what happened here. If I had that same conversation home, maybe 90 of those women would still be in the room. And then that's where the abundance as the African American man in its totality would be in a fair place to where they could actually assess rather than feel like this is just what I can get. So that's why every time you log into Instagram, what do you see? Some more fucking Nigerians getting married. Every time. Doing a hour-long dance, walk. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Doing their little dance and parade and all the way to the aisle. Every time it's a new couple. Why? Because they have assessed enough women to be like, this one has value. I want to be with this one for the rest of my life. But then, from the other side, most women don't know that most men don't have those type of options. So the women that they do end up with, it becomes a train wreck. And they're trying so much to fit inside of the box of what that could look like to be peaceful. I think that in totality, I think that men value peace and women value narrative. Me personally, that's what my assessment has become of my 30 years. Is that when you were talking about your baby mom and how you guys were moving at first, and you were saying she became my escape from my home when I was going through this situation with my parents. In your mind, it was, yo, this girl is cool. I really like the symmetry that we have. But I think that the part that you were missing is that was a part of her narrative at the moment. Her narrative was to get closer to you. And so that created a space for y'all to get closer to each other. So then when that no longer became the narrative, then you got to see another side of her. Because now her narrative has flipped. And even if her narrative doesn't involve being peaceful, which yours was going to her to find peace, and then when the narrative flipped, you were finding peace within you being with your daughter and with you trying to navigate the situation in a peaceful manner. Peace didn't matter to her anymore because peace is no longer a part of the narrative.
I was so fucked up then, I wasn't even going to her for peace.
What would you feel like you was going to her for?
Growth.
What kind of growth?
Life growth, manhood growth, because I touched on that in the video about she was providing more of a challenge than my home life. So I got tired of being comfortable.
Okay.
I remember I wrote a lyric in a song one time. I'm like, I'm waiting for something catastrophic to happen. I'm waiting for something to shake me up so I can like do more, because I didn't have the personal desire to just move out of my parents' house. I was just caught in a routine of doing my creativity, doing my community stuff that I care a lot about, and allowing that to grow however it will grow over time. But I didn't have like a timeline of when I wanted to move. I just knew I was starting to feel stagnant at home when I got with her. So that's the only thing that made her look so attractive to me at that time. But at that time I wasn't a man for real.
Right.
I had not gone through enough to really have that confidence in even wanting a woman to be my piece. I wasn't searching for the right type of shit. And I really wasn't searching for nothing. I was just connecting, and if I liked you, okay, then I was just entertaining shit. And if she make me feel good, if we have good conversation, if I feel like there's any substance there, okay, I like her. Let's see what we can do. So she was the most grown woman I've ever had at that time. So it presented a healthy challenge for me. And men do like challenges.
Yeah.
Like challenges. At that time, her challenge was attractive. The man I am now, I'm not trying to deal with no challenge. I don't need a woman to be a challenge for me.
Now you want peace.
Yeah. That's you, baby. That's right. She bringing the peace.
So then it came back full circle.
Yeah. So you're right about men wanting peace. Men want a woman that's why that submissive word comes about, and a lot of women here think that's an insult to be submissive because of this capitalism and feminism and women wanting to do a lot of the things men do and wanting to have their own identity and independence from a man, and it creates competition instead of a union, which is what a man and woman are supposed to be. Supposed to come together. That's the strongest team you can have is a man and a woman.
Yep. Hell of a team.
So when you don't really value that concept, it's like a constant fight. So
that brings me to my next part. I appreciate you saying that too. And within the red pill community, when I started doing my content, so now this is going to bring back full circle what you said earlier about how I was presenting myself. So what I did was, when Kevin Samuels passed away, they offered me the opportunity to take over a show similar to his. So then I said, I don't want to do that because they're shitting on his legacy right now. And that was a dope individual. I've done so much other dope shit that I don't want this to overshadow everything that I've done. And they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. Like, this is a great opportunity. And I'm like, listen, a year from now, you'll get it. You'll get what I'm saying. And a year from then, those African American women were still celebrating Kevin Samuels' death. And I said, and I would just send stuff to the people like this. So I'm talking about this. So I'm talking about it. And after a while, they were like, okay, we get what you're saying. So then I said, you know what? I'm gonna put the medicine in the food. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Vigilante. These shades right here, listen, you gotta protect your peace. This is how you protect your peace. Not everybody should be allowed to see your eyes. When you make a personal connection with a woman, when she actually wants to know who you are, when she wants to know your government name, when she's divine, submissive, and on your program, then you take these shades off. But until then, you keep them on. It's your boy Vigilante.
Mm-hmm.
And then that became how I started to promote the products by giving the information to the men, but promoting the product. And so then it became about the product, but if you were really seeking to become better with women, you would hear what I was saying in the message. So then that, whoops, I'm about to go with that. Then that transformed into, and within the Red Pill community space, I wanted to be known also as a creator who was not advocating for singleness.
Yeah.
I was in a union that I loved being in. I talk about my ex with the highest level of respect because that's a person I chose. She was a great pick. We had a great union. And when things were about to move forward to be finalized, I have no problem saying on camera that I was going to marry her. That was going to be my wife. I was going to be happy with that decision. But in the Red Pill space, in the community space that we're in now, with the other alphas and sigmas and all the other stuff, preaching non-union is counterproductive. Because, like I said before, the most potent interaction that we have, human, nature, animals. If you take away the human aspect, then all you leave is nature and animals. Who takes care of the nature? Who takes care of the animals? So now, if you keep that divided, then you're creating a situation for us to become a thing of the past. How do we reproduce with no union? What type of, because people ain't gonna stop fornicating, so what type of situations are you creating with no union? You're creating more baby daddies and more baby moms. So I think that, and I like the position that I sit in because I get to sit parallel with them and tell you, hey bro, you might want to look at this from this perspective. But don't you see how these hoes be out here moving? Well, let's not call them hoes. Let's just say that it's a certain group of people that do this over here. But let's not put so much of the light on them that we forget about these women that are over here. The ones who actually heard Kevin Samuels and went, noted. The ones who actually listen to this creator and go, you know what, being submissive ain't a bad thing. My indoctrination fucked me up. Or the ones who was like that the whole time. Let's shine a light on them. Let's be that creator space. We don't need to align 17 drunk strippers and then have them talk about why they don't want to be wives. What the fuck do these drunk ass strippers want to be wives for? Let these drunk ass strippers be drunk strippers. Let's align the other wholesome women who have a desk job, or they're a bagger at a grocery store, or they still stay at home with their folks, but they're a full-time student. Why can't we have this conversation with them? Why are we not showcasing the good side of the community so we can move forward like that? We have attention to give to people who deserve it so that we can move forward gracefully. Everybody's not going to reproduce. Everybody's lineage is not going to continue. We're here because the strongest people, the strongest men, and the most fertile women got to reproduce. That's why we're here. So we have to make sure that as it's our responsibility as the current generation to reproduce good seed with good people, and to make sure that our children see that we reproduce good seed with good people, so they can reproduce good seed with good people. That matters now. That mattered back when we were cavemen and cave women because there was no technology. So all we had was each other.
Yeah.
On our land.
Mm-hmm.
That simplicity has never changed. When you go home, you lock your door. Why? Because that's your domain.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The same way that they used to move a rock in front of the cave. What's the difference?
None.
The only thing is that people have indoctrinated technology to make it seem like that we're so far removed from that. No, we're not. This is how the cave woman looks. This is how the cave men looks. This is how the modern day Vigilante man looks. It's just so much watering down that it makes you feel like, well, since I don't know myself, or since we're not at that time anymore, it's just a free-for-all. It can't be a free-for-all because that causes anarchy. That's where the purge comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you create a 24/7 purge, everybody gets caught in the crossfire and we all die.
Oh yeah.
And the drones that kill the people are flown killing people. Finding a good girlfriend is priceless.
It is.
Turning her into a fiance is priceless. Making her a wife is priceless. Moving forward and reproducing is priceless. Having a family dynamic and having that structure every day where you don't have to worry about how many hoes you can get today and you're more focused on your work ethic is priceless. It's going to put you in a position of power that you've never had before. And I'm not going against anybody else that's in the red pill space. I'm just giving you guys a different perspective of the way that I'm looking at it. And I don't want any of the women, because on the other side, it can be interchangeable to where now they're looking at it like, okay, this guy makes this kind of content, this guy makes this kind of content, this guy makes this kind. If he does anything similar to what they do, he has the same ideology as they have.
Right.
And he's preaching division as well.
Yep.
Even before they even click on what's going on. When the entire time, unity. We got to get the worthless assholes up out of here so that we can just have the cream of the crop, and we can hold them into the highest regard, and that's not considered simping, that's considered crowning. I have a forever tiara or a queen's crown or whatever the hell you call it, and a queen's chair forever sitting next to me everywhere that I go for the worthy queen that can sit there. That's my job as a man. And it's her job to be submissive and divine and feminine enough to take her seat and to look at my chair and to admire the fact that my chair is a little bit bigger than hers and that my crown is a little bit bigger than hers, and not to feel inferior because of that. And that's what got lost.
Yep.
Here.
Yep.
Is that right there? That's what happened. Yep. Anything either one of y'all want to say to that?
I think it's interesting because I always feel different sometimes compared to a lot of, I guess, American or African American women here. Even though I'm from Canada, which is still North America, and so we pretty much the same. I'm not from like overseas or anything like that, but because I have Caribbean parents and was brought up in a Caribbean household, I know that. Like I know how a woman is supposed to be with a man, because that's how I watched my mom be with my dad. So it's interesting that you said that, because I usually have those conversations and women usually look at me like, oh, I don't know how you can be like, niggas are this way and niggas are like that and they like this. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really talk down on men. I don't go online. I don't never do that. Like ever. Like I've had bad situations, but I don't never sit down and just talk badly about men openly. Because everybody has their own things, and that was bad here, and I can just move on. But I'm always going to be the same person with any man that is in my life at that time. So even if I had a bad situation with someone else, I got with Brendan, and I wasn't even thinking about being with anybody. But as soon as I got with him, because I seen his value and how he showed up and how it was so natural, I was like, oh yes, like I can be all of that for you. You know what I mean? So it's really not hard to do. People are just very stuck in their own ways and just don't want to change, don't want to soften up because being soft feels vulnerable and weak. You know, and I've been there too, thinking like that when I was younger. But then the older I got, I was like, nah. You know, like it's beautiful to be that way for a man, especially a man that deserves it and is like, you know, guiding you or trying at least, and you can see it. So yeah. So sometimes I feel like talking to women about that, like, you know, you ain't gotta be so hard. You know what I mean? Like, if you soften up a little bit, then he can show up. You know, like instead of like fighting together. So, cause that's how it was with the other person I was with. It was a lot of I'm alpha, I'm alpha, I'm alpha, and I'm like, where is it? And I don't even believe in that word. I don't even want to hear the word. It's like I don't care about that. I'm like, let me tell you, women usually, well, I don't care because women usually talk about alpha and beta and all that, but I don't care about that. Just do what you want to do, and I'll respect it, and then we can, you know, move together the way we're supposed to. So, yeah.
I remember saying while I was like um, completely submerged in being a new dad, living with baby mom, and there were times where it was good sometimes, and it felt like we were doing the right thing. It felt like we was figuring it out together. And I made a video and I said, this is the pinnacle of manhood. And that was my introduction to life. But when I was in that situation, as toxic as it was and as dysfunctional as it was majority of the time, when I was there doing that as a man, taking care of my family with my daughter, looking out for baby mom, providing what I could provide, working on my business, building together, us trying to figure it out together, that's the pinnacle of manhood. And I remember saying that, and people were offended by that. Like it was, I think it was men and women that were trying to challenge me on that. Like, because I say it in a very direct way, like, as a man, you have not reached the pinnacle of manhood until you take on a woman, she bears your children, and you take care of that family. There's nothing that makes a man feel more manly than standing with his woman and his kids or kid, whatever, however many kids. And you can stand there and say, look, this is what I have created. This is the empire I'm building. And we all on the same accord. And I'm leading the charge, like they respect me to lead as the man. That's the pinnacle.
That's it.
It's unfortunate that the position I was in, I couldn't stand with confidence like that because I was green to everything. I'm with a woman that I know I didn't want to be with, consistently left 3 different times, and she was always in control and manipulating the entire situation, so I couldn't fully feel like a man. But because I stepped into it, that's the most manly I ever felt. At this time, though, in my life, I don't know if I'll ever be in that position to have a family with another woman like that and to be able to create my own family again. I don't have that goal. Maybe it'll change in time. I think right now I was just searching for a solid friend, and that's what I have with my partner now. Is we have a genuine friendship. I had never been with a woman that I was a friend to first. I used to put women in 2 categories. You're either in the friend zone or you're in a potential dating zone where I would date you. If I looked at you and I didn't immediately think I would pursue you or I have some type of romantic interest, then I would eliminate you from even being close to me like that. It's the wrong way to approach connection.
Yeah.
You gotta really just deal with people, get to know people. And it ain't about romantic interest or sexual desire. These are natural things. Of course, everybody wants to have sex and we want to mate. But when you're looking for a solid partner, and this is where a lot of people drop the ball in dating, I don't even use the word dating anymore.
What word you use?
Connecting, making friends. I just tell people, you want to find your partner? Make friends. Stop chasing your type, especially men. I tell men to stop pursuing women, stop chasing women, connect with women. You can approach women and express interest or express some type of admiration toward them, but you should never get too outside of yourself as a man trying to chase a woman down. And I think that's what majority of us do, and we're taught to do that, and the women are taught to sit and wait. So it puts the woman in a position of power because now all of her possible partners are men that want her. But if you sit and ask her, who do you want? It's almost like they feel like it's a masculine thing for them to pick the man they want. So I remember going through my last breakup with the woman that I lived in Florida with, and I said, I'm never going to be in this position again, to be chasing a woman or feeling like I'm picking her and making her, or feeling like I got to prove myself. Yeah. And like you said, yeah, persuade her to be convinced that I'm the one for her. Like, what the fuck? Every woman knows the men that they admire and want. Yeah. A lot of women just keep that to themselves because they don't want to seem, thirsty or aggressive, and they feel like he's supposed to be coming to her. But when you're with a woman that really wants you, yes, you still have to be a man. You still have to have qualities that are respectable, and you have to lead. But that woman is going to be a dope partner if she wants that man. She wants to take care of the man that she wants. So that's what my partner is showing me now. And I never thought I would be with a woman with kids and take her seriously like I take her serious. And that's like, I'm in a different space. Yeah. So because I went through that fucked up situation of being a baby dad and trying to do it right, and I felt like that was the pinnacle, and I did it right, and to be treated how I was treated. At this age, again, it's just about finding a good companion, whoever that comes in. And the reality is there are a lot of situations where, especially at my age, at 37, if I'm with a woman that's around my age, it's very difficult to find a woman that ain't got no kids. And because I don't have the goal to have kids, it works. So
yeah, I can see that. I see what you're saying.
Men and women, you have to find the person that is on the same wave as you. That's all it is. You have to find compatibility in a person. Y'all gotta value the same shit. And you can't be in opposition to each other when it comes to important life things like family, career, where you want to live, just the day-to-day lifestyle. So when you find a partner that thinks like you, they're not pressuring you to be somebody that you're not, then it can work. So now more so I think the pinnacle of life, I'm not even gonna say manhood, I'm just starting to realize it ain't really about one particular lifestyle that you're creating. Because some people can't even have kids. Biologically, they just can't have kids.
Right.
So the pinnacle is just doing life the way you want to do it and finding somebody who wants to do that with you. Whatever that looks like. And you ain't got to have a lot.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a lot. There's people that have a lot that aren't at peace.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, it's about finding peace. Peace comes in a lot of forms. I know motherfuckers that live on the side of the road and they're at peace. But from the outside, you looking at it and it look like, I wouldn't live like that. So they must be miserable every day.
Right.
No, they're not. A lot of those people choose to be on the street.
Right.
They could easily make a decision to not be on the street. They want to be there.
Yeah.
The goal is to be where you want to be.
A little bit of effort to get them off the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's peace and simplicity.
It's about being where you want to be.
I think that's what happened in a lot of my content creation moving forward is that as I got to learn every side pretty much of women from every ethnicity, I realized that they all have something in common. And what they all have in common is that they all have something called genuine burning desire. And that genuine burning desire that they have is usually for a man who is highly acclaimed. Like if you line up 10 women and you ask them, who's your dream guy? It's very rare that they're gonna say Bob the mailman, or that they're gonna say the guy who just took my order at McDonald's. More than likely, this person's gonna say it's Nelly, it's Usher, it's Michael B. Jordan, it's like, and when you start to ask yourself, okay, what is it about those individuals that make those their dream guy? Okay, well, his social status, he means something to the world. Okay, his financial status puts him in a position to where if I get pregnant with his children, I don't have to worry about if he's going to be able to take care of us or not. And then if push comes to shove to where our situation goes bad, then I have the government that I can use to then siphon those resources that he has. That's worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And then we have the fact that he's attractive. Okay, now he's a trophy. When I show him off to my family and to my friends, I get the position of having the best pick out of all of them. Okay, now what comes with that? The resources. Okay, when we drive around happily. When we go home and we see these views in this penthouse or this big mansion, we're good. But a lot of that stuff is surface level. But the surface level intangibles and female nature coexist in a lot of ways. So that's why a lot of guys, when they get resources, then you start to see the ones who lead with them, and you start to see the ones who just so happen to have them, because they can get that female nature and surface level stuff that they desire misconstrued and get their wires crossed to where they never come back from themselves. So like there's a movie, 35 and Ticking, and the guy Nick West, every time he walk in the room, I'm Nick West, I'm Nick West, Nick West. He want everybody to know that because he plays in the NBA. So he leads with that. So when women come to him for that, and he's like, God damn, you only want me because I'm Nick West. But you just said I'm Nick West. So
that's the thing, you think they want or think that. It's like men want to, I feel like we try too hard to figure out what the opposite sex wants as a general whole. When it's a lot of different types of women, it's a lot of different types of men. The only thing you have to figure out is yourself. Figure out yourself, and you'll surround yourself around like-minded people.
Right.
You gotta connect with like-minded people. Period. I know they say opposites attract. I don't subscribe to that. You're gonna attract like-minded people. You're gonna stick around people that are more like you than not. So that's all it is. It's not being in pursuit of anything. Universe works very easy when you just operate in yourself and stop being in fear. Let the universe work. Just show up as yourself. Find ways to show up as yourself. And we all want to connect, so you just find different ways to put yourself in environments where you can meet people, and it'll naturally progress as long as you're open to meeting people
doing this thing,
and not just looking at what your type is or what you think you want to go pursue. Be open to what comes around you organically, and be open to connecting with that and where that'll blossom.
Give me your name one more time.
Allison.
Allison.
Yeah.
Okay, Allison. And that was a good point too.
Oh, and I do, wherever you about to take the convo, I do want to wrap it up pretty soon.
Okay.
Because I know you probably be having some pain. She got to move around and stuff.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got to use the bathroom.
This will be our last thing then. As opposed to what I was just saying about how those things can interact with female nature. Do you see the duality, and what's your opinion on that?
Oh, what you just said about women, what did you say? You said women wanting like surface level things? Is that what you said?
Kinda. I'm gonna try to paraphrase it a little bit so I can say it in the shorter version of how I said it earlier. I was saying that the genuine burning desire inside of most women is to understand that they will be taken care of financially by the guy that they're with, that he is attractive to look at, that he means something within society, as in his status that he has, and how those things can be seen at surface level, but they also intertwine with female nature and how females gauge men from a surface level, and then also from just a standard of how to what they hold them to.
Yeah, I guess I could see that a little bit, especially with how attractive he was to me when I noticed the things that he was doing. And I usually don't look at things, like I'm not very picky. Not very picky, I would say. I always try to find something in the person I'm getting to know that it speaks to me. But I guess I would say, yeah, you do want someone because I said that to him before, like most of the men that I've been with, I feel like I was more proactive than them. I was more proactive, I was more assertive, didn't really have a lot of plans and goals. Like I was the one always like, hey, let's sit down and have a talk. What are we gonna do? We're gonna do this, or we're gonna like, and it became very tiring for me, like just draining. And I always said I need a man that is gonna be like me, that, and I don't always have to always like show up and make plans and do decisions and make goals, like like whatever it is. So when I met him and he was like, yeah, I do this and I do that. Oh, you want to do the workout? Let's do the workout. So that to me was like attractive. I was like, yes, I need that. I need a man like that. I need a man with a vision. I need a man to tell me what we're gonna do.
That's the key
and then
word.
if,
I
right,
was waiting on her to say vision.
yes, and then if I have something to add, because I'm always gonna have something to add, then boom, it's like a team, we're a partnership. So that's what I wanted, and I have it, and I'm just so happy with that. And I didn't like we both didn't have the same like a traditional type relationship, ideas, because at some point I told him like we were just like platonic friends, and I had that person I was dealing with. I was like, I don't even know that I need to be in a relationship. I was like, maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe I have commitment issues. Maybe I need to be poly. Because I heard you talk about being poly. No, and I did. I had all those thoughts. I was like, maybe I can't be with one person. Maybe I need multiple.
And you said you wasn't sweating marriage. That's a big
Yes,
thing.
yes,
That's
'cause I've
compatible
always-
with us.
yeah.
'Cause getting married ain't never been my ultimate dream.
Right.
When I really look back, I've always wanted a female companion, long term.
Yeah.
And I always took it serious. But getting married wasn't. That was never a thing where I have to find a wife. So the fact that she
We
thinks
clicked
that
on
way
that.
too,
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah.
Because we both not sweating it, but we both are very much into finding a good
Yes.
partner.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the part that got lost within the duality as well too. Is when I was in my last relationship, I realized that what kept us together was bond, not trauma bond,
Yeah.
just regular bond. This is my homie. I fuck with her. She fuck with me. And when you have a bond, that bond transcends friendship, dating, fiance,
Right. Right.
marriage. It's the same bond. It's just been strengthened over time.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then we add these humanly titles
Yep.
to that bond. But at the end of the day,
A bond is a
a
bond.
bond is a
Yes.
bond. It's just a bond.
Yeah.
And I think that's when, and then the women I see nowadays, they try to reverse engineer it to where it's like, well, if he says bond or if he says that he's not looking to get married, he's unintentional. And it's like, well, actually, I'm the one that knows what I'm talking about. Because it's a bond. If you want the title of marriage,
Yeah.
but you don't want the
Right.
They
bond
want the title
Exactly.
more than the bond.
and the bond.
And this is the only time I said that I would even think differently about marriage. Is
Yeah.
if I know that we're so natural about everything that we're doing and
Right.
we just love each other, then and if we thought about that, so be it. I was like, but I've never had that like dream either, like because I've seen it. My parents were married, and I just felt like it was so weird that they were so not compatible. I'm like, why did you stay together? Why did you get married?
Yeah.
Like it didn't make sense. And I saw
Right.
my cousins and my aunties, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't like. At 13 years old, I was like, I'm good. I don't want to get married.
Yeah.
So when people would say that to me, I'm like, I'm not getting married. I'm good. Like because it don't make sense to do that and then to be miserable and then like now you got to spend a bunch of money to get divorced. So yeah.
When you look at most marriage proposals, the women who deserve to get proposed to the most have no idea that they're about to get proposed to.
Yeah.
They could just be at an amusement park.
Mm.
All of a sudden,
Yeah,
he down
see
on
those-
one knee. It's like, what the hell you down there doing?
right.
Right.
We was about to get on this ride. We waiting in this line. She more concerned about the ride. He like, from the moment that I met you. And
You're
she's like,
doing
wait a
this
minute,
right now?
You proposing?
Like, why are you doing this to me?
Oh my God, you're proposing.
And then that creates it's this pressure on men to create that moment for the woman they love. And if you don't create a big enough moment for her, then you don't really love her like that. And then you get looked at like, oh, you just playing with that woman. You gonna wait around for a ring for how long y'all been together? He ain't gave you no ring
outside
yet.
pressure.
Pressure.
Yeah.
I feel like the marriage is more about the pressure. It's about appearing a certain way in front of other people. It ain't nothing to do with the bond.
Bond.
I've
back to
always
it.
wanted the bond. So I found a woman that wants the bond. She's not sweating the other shit. And she's not sweating the traditional roles of what most women think a man should be doing. Like when you get into the, you
Expectations.
like a man can't lead unless he paying for everything, and he got to do this, he got to do this, he got to. She
We're
not
gonna do
sweating
it
that
together.
either.
Yes, I really love the togetherness of doing things. And like he knows, I have a hard time receiving.
Yeah.
So
I've
that's
been having to like teach her how to. Okay, it's cool. It's okay to allow me to pay for this or do this for you. It's fine.
Yeah.
So I'm with a woman. She quick to help, quick to put her money up,
Right.
quick to. I have to
Yeah.
get her to tone down, which that's a better problem
That's
to
a
have.
that's a great problem.
Great
It's a
problem to
great
have.
problem. That's one thing I always admired about my mom was that she was a builder. She was just like, remember I said she did the sweat equity before she had her husband.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just how she was. So I grew up like that. So that's another common misconception within the red pill community for me because they preach the man needs to pay for everything, whatever he says
that
goes.
50-50 thing or whatever.
I don't preach that.
Yeah.
I preach unity and I preach both people's finances coming together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as we prepare for reproduction, we put her in a position to have passive incomes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then we take over the bulk
Yep.
where she's lacking until she wants to get back into the workforce.
Yeah.
Because I need somebody here every single day with my child.
That's when biology takes over.
That's when biology takes over.
And
So we
that's
got to
when
do the right thing.
That's when the true gender, because there are roles.
Right.
There are natural roles in place based on biology.
Biology.
She has to sit
Mm-hmm.
when them kids come.
Mm-hmm.
You guys
The
are
baby
great,
mom,
Yeah.
she was sitting,
Sitting.
and I was telling her, sit. You
You
don't
gotta
want to
sit.
go back to work?
Yeah.
I don't want you to go back to work
Go
either.
either.
Sit.
Sit. Mm-hmm.
I'll work myself up to where I can pay everything, and I did it.
You did it. Congratulations on that too.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations, man. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And just going back to what I was saying earlier about imagine this is just in an imaginary world.
Mhm.
If you would have left the house with that pre-approval letter, tiny home, $50,000, 500 down, 500 closing costs, and you paying $500 a month, and then you get into a situation where a girl gets pregnant. Now your whole situation is already taken care of anyway. You fine, regardless of what she wants to do. Go to work, don't go to work. Baby here, daycare, whatever it's gonna be. Everything is taken care of.
Yeah.
So we just have to make sure that moving forward, that we put everybody in a position to where they get the proper knowledge to know that.
Yep.
This rebellious stage of I'ma leave, and I'm not talking about your situation, just people in general. When you hear people's of how they left their home, 90% of the stories in the black community is me and my parents wasn't getting along.
Yep.
I met this person at this time.
Yep.
This happened right here. That it's like a tragic situation, and then it spirals them out of control to hit rock bottom, and then they either end up coming back or that salvages the relationship between them and their parents.
Yeah.
And now you have no lineage. So even when you do reproduce, whenever you going over grandma's house, when the hell she ever been interested in going over grandma's house? We don't have no relationship with them. And it's like, how the fuck you tell your kid that?
Shit's sick.
So we just gotta, I just want to see everybody move forward. If y'all didn't get nothing from me today, I'm glad you guys got to see Remarcus. That you guys see that I'm all about, just like what he's saying, building the community. And I appreciate having other people who are building the community because he's building it over here and I'm building it over here and we're connecting it at the top. And we're connecting with the other builders in the community to not call out fake builders, but to see what everybody's positioning within building is. You may be laying cement, but your job really needs to be driving the tow truck. You know, just proper positioning for the men and for the women, for us to have a better tomorrow.
Yep.
Success is the goal. We're done with capitalistic, monetary bullshit. We're done with living on top of each other. We're done with bragging about our materialistic aspects. All of that shit is garbage. The next step forward is the holistic journey, and for that to siphon down to our children so they can have a better opportunity than us. That's it.
This is really why I wanted to come sit with you and talk. I was excited. I knew it was gonna come back around because it wasn't lining up when we initially was trying to. I just knew the timing wasn't right. Stuff was just, it wasn't flowing. I'm like, all right. I still had the interest though, because I felt like it was important for me to connect with you more, because I knew one of these days I'm gonna get to see who he really is. I want to get to know him for real. because it was something in me, and I knew we had a lot in common. And this conversation showed me we have a whole lot in common, and I didn't know that. I thought we had very differing views on our overall purpose and what we was doing. But now I see we're just doing it in opposite ways, I think.
Yeah.
I started humanitarian. You started industry money. Now I'm trying to tap more into what you were tapped into early, and you're tapping into what I was on from the jump. So we're just doing it in different ways, but we got the same spirit.
Yeah.
Same spirit. We're trying to do the same thing.
We're gonna meet in the middle.
Yeah.
We're gonna rebuild the Metamusa empire again, so that we can all have a rich lineage. So none of us have to work. Our work is gonna be our creation and us existing within the world. Anything you want to say before we go?
No, I don't have nothing to say right now. No, I just love to see it. Like, you guys definitely are very similar in the way. Like, I'm just watching, I was like, hey, it's like, that's two great men right here. So for all the women that loves to just bash, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, just spend time and talk to people, or talk to men and just listen to them, and you'll see the value in all of them. It's like, you know, you guys have vision, and you have very strong opinions about certain things, and you're actually putting the actions into it. Like, you know, just talking, because a lot of men do that. And you may inspire other men too, that's sitting down unsure of themselves. So, you know.
And I'm excited for you showing this side of you more often, because I don't want more people to be part of that population that's looking at you a certain way, like how I was looking at you when I didn't know you. Because they need to know the real spirit. They need to know your energy for real, and that's gonna help propel what you're already doing even more. Because now these people that's questioning your sincerity or who you are, they can't anymore.
Right.
Now they get to see the heart. You know what I mean?
No, I get it 100%. 100%. I understand.
I'm glad that you saw my video and it inspired you, because that shit meant a lot when you reached out and said that. That really touched me, because I knew it was gonna be men to watch that and hear that story, and it'll make them brave enough to share parts of their story that they may have not shared before.
Yeah.
Stuff, because there's a lot of things that we go through as men, we're almost a little ashamed to talk about it. We feel like we can't be vulnerable about certain things because it's gonna be received a certain way. We don't want to be weak. We don't want to
disappoint the economic society, and the family structure, and
So this is dope. I'm glad I can, help you show more of that side of you.
Thank you. I'm glad I was able to showcase all the vulnerabilities as well. You definitely got you a good one, man. Congratulations, man.
Appreciate you, bro.
Congratulations,
Thank you. Thank you.
So that was myself, Vigilante Marcus. I'm excited to see what my new African name is going to be, and you guys will be the first to know when I do get it, because it'll be everywhere. And my guy Yave, you got any closing words?
Thank you. Thank you for operating in who you are. You inspire me too, because I see how you move, and it's things that I'm looking forward to continuing to learn from you. And that's something I've been wanting to do more of too. After moving out of my parents' place, is working on those relationships with other men, because I always struggled with that. So I want to open myself up, because it's still uncomfortable at times. Like, I'm more comfortable connecting with women than I am with men, because it's meeting that other masculine energy. It makes you look at yourself, and it makes you have to grow.
Creates a measure and stick immediately.
So you one of those people that when I talk to you, it's always purposeful. It's always making me commit to something, making me move. That's real man shit. So I just want to appreciate you, show you, love on camera, and hopefully the conversation made people look at you in a more human way, and not just the guy that's online flashing, he's arrogant and he's just all about it. Nah, you actually are a good person.
Thank you.
And learning about your background, your family background, that really helped me understand you. But how you didn't talk to your dad till you was 20. It's a big deal. And that's And this is very important. Very important.
Very important. Any last words you want to say?
No last words. None.
All right, y'all. Well, I appreciate y'all for joining me. And we out. You can go ahead and end yours. I might just end mine too.
Yeah. I actually